shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. It is a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, even a little bit wet in some quarters, but as we invite you to be a part of our open line segment here on Talk Today, hey, 949-8037, or if you're able, please use the toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us as we invite you to share your thoughts. Perhaps some, like, many increasingly are spending time just being a little more pensive, thinking, perhaps asking a lot more questions, seeking greater clarity, and to an extent, demanding more accountability, not just of others, but of ourselves. And we invite you to share some thoughts with us. It's Wednesday. I don't like the phrase, hump day or whatever, but if you feel it's that time where you just need a little push, get you through the rest of the day and into the remainder of the week, well, call and share an inspiring thought with us. Call and say, listen, things are a little rough. What is it that we need in order to move forward? So you might need a little encouragement. Share your story. Someone there might actually have something that propels you forward. It's open line. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. A number of things to share from our listeners, but the WhatsApp is there for you as well, 925-3261, and happy to read anything you share with us that you want us to share. If you send a voice note, Susan is always gracious, and if it's something that we can play, we will. So why don't we start by celebrating with Miss Shirley May Connor from all the good folks at 180 Brown, Square crew, right there enjoying and waiting to celebrate, her special day. So Miss Shirley May Connor, happy birthday to you. This time in particular, this time of year, especially, sort of like, you're going into harvest time almost in a sense. The expectation normally that coming out of Easter, the children are excited about what summer will bring. And for parents, the idea that the fishing normally would even be better. But it's not for some that normal, usual celebration. For many, this is the year that they would have celebrated their 50th birthday. For some, it may be their 50th anniversary. For some, it's just the beginning of new things ahead. Or students who are graduating, looking forward to the next chapter in their lives. Well, unprecedented, we're told, certainly unexpected by many, perhaps even orchestrated by some. But what is your perspective. Want to hear from you. Open line 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. So toll-free line with the kind compliments of flow. And had a best way to put it, you know, rather long, engaging, productive, but exhausting conversation with a few of us. And it wasn't just because of the content and the expectation that we needed to pay attention. Sort of like getting prepared for that final exam that would determine whether your future is here, there, or elsewhere. But it also is a notion that sometimes the technology makes it difficult for people to be able to sometimes hear and see and follow along with what is being shared. So, despite those uh, sort of challenges that we experienced earlier in this discussion, came away with a lot of very interesting insights, and I'm grateful for the many people who are starting to ask questions, not just of our own leadership, but of the region and of the world and of potential of what lies ahead. And that is intriguing, and that certainly is something that I would love very much to hear from you. What's your take on where we are now, where you would like to see us go from here? What do you perceive to be the new norm, and why should it be? Will it be dictated by others? Will you have a hand in it? As an example, yesterday at the press briefing, there was a question, a concern, as it were, that even if we move to mandatory mask, we understand that many of the public spaces will perhaps be mandated by law, potentially. But as the government was sharing yesterday, again, that until there is a sufficient supply of masks, would be unreasonable, perhaps, to demand, require, legislate that people wear a mask and they don't have access to masks. But there were two questions. One, the fact that despite the law, some of our supermarkets and other retail places are going to require masks. And if you don't, should they be able to do that? Well, quickly, if you're looking for masks, we went out and a store that advertises us, but also one that is very well known to us. There are some KN95 masks in stock at Reflections, whether it's the liquor for less and the food for less, reasonable price. So if you're looking for masks, Reflections have them. Another good business there in our community that is still available. But it is open line. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
Not bad at all. I am grateful. It's another lovely day in the Cayman Islands, in spite
of
everything. I would like to just address a small concern that has been recurring. Mm-hmm. There are well-meaning persons who have been placing on social media and on other mediums a call for blood, and it creates a significant amount of confusion and significant stress on our blood bank and our laboratory. The single source of information regarding the harvesting of blood and the request for donors to come in is the National Blood Bank and their affiliates. Any other medium should not be regarded as authoritative, as well-meaning as they may be. There are guidelines which the blood bank works along with international guidelines, and as such, donors are encouraged to enroll and fill out a form to be able to be on tap, to be called, and to come in and do their duty, which helps to save lives. Mm-hmm. There are well-meaning persons who may call for on behalf of a family member they are aware of that may be in need, but it is not their purview to do so. And whenever people come in to try to do so under that family directive, they're denied the privilege of giving at that time because it goes outside of guidelines for best practice. So you are not going to be told you're not going to be able to give, but you're not going to be able to give at that time. You're going to be given the opportunity to enroll and to go through process and to do the test that is required to make sure your pint is safe. So we are requesting our public to be very responsible and also to be very responsive to when we request blood through the national mediums under the umbrella of the National Blood Bank, the HSA. That is when you should be responding. Otherwise, it is a very demanding process to have staff who are already overtaxed in doing their normal duty and doing extra COVID duty to have to attempt to let people know that the request was a false one. There are scenarios also which are occurring. We've had occasion where blood appeals have been made in other countries and have been transferred over to us. And it would seem as if it would originate from here, but it hasn't. And that also creates an added stress on our system. So if it is not the National Blood Bank through Radio Cayman or any other media that has been given a directive from the National Blood Bank, it should be ignored. If you have a query, you can always call the blood bank to ask, as did occur this weekend. So this is not to discourage, it's just to enable people to know that there is process. And the reason why we are one of the top 14 blood banks in the Western Hemisphere is because we are very, very stringent about making sure that our end users have a product that is remarkable and truly life-giving. We do not accept family replacement, which is a method of having a family member give on behalf of another family member directly, because it goes against the best practice requirements of Pan American World Health and WHO. It is not that you cannot give as a family member. It means that under circumstances of an accident or you have a relative that needs right now, you can't just go in and give right now if you have not been a registered donor. If you have been, you can come in and give your pint. Your pint is not going to be designated to your family member because that is not according to practice. Another thing we don't do is remuneration for blood because it discourages people from being truthful, and their end result is that they'd like to get a reward for their pint. We are one of a handful of nations in this part of the world that absolutely don't do remunerations or provide gifts for a pint because it interferes with the true citizenship of you being a blood donor. Blood donors ideally are ones who have a lifestyle that is compatible to making sure that your pint is okay. Those questions are very important, and that pint is so critical. In fact, your life-giving pint becomes more valuable than gold or money or currency. And as such, we want to make sure that the fidelity of process is realized by just complying with signing up to become a donor and making sure that your sources of request are consistent with the only authority, the National Blood Bank. That's why the National Blood Bank is the only entity that is allowed to import blood to the island. And as such, any other of our medical apparatuses in the island that need have to come through the National Blood Bank because of the integrity of process and the guarantee that this product and its derivatives, because blood is broken down into several classes over time, is going to be a product that is life-saving and is going to be rewarding to give a life. I really thank Radio Cayman for being a partner, an indispensable partner in helping our community to live, and you are in true a blood brother in the business of saving lives. Thank you very much.
But before you go, could we engage you for a second on behalf of a couple of our callers? We're looking at some comments that have come through, and I must commend, I think, the community. We certainly could use, an increase in or a larger percentage of our population who would be able to give blood and become registered blood donors. But for those of us who give, as you said, it is life-saving. Help us to understand. There is the blood bank, which normally would be upstairs on the second floor at the
Yes.
HSA, right?
Yes.
And then there is for what is the word, the lab when you come through the double doors to our left across from the pediatrics, right?
Yes.
Two things we want to clarify. One, they're separate and distinct. Uh, you go to the blood bank if you're a blood donor. You go to the lab if you have your blood tests, your the other things that you need in the phlebotomy section. Is that the
Yes. Yes, that is. Yes.
okay?
There's a difference.
And now during this exercise that we're going through, the blood bank has set up some sort of mobile outlets. I think by the Red Cross on Fridays, we heard the PSA already came on for people who can, and it'll be more convenient for them. Is that still
Yes.
the case?
It is the case. Okay, because of the COVID scenario, where a lot of our medical personnel have been repurposed toward
Mhm.
addressing the international health decline because of COVID, our hospital plan has been reappraised and not re-outfitted, but reorganized to make sure that we have more effective means of controlling access, one, because we would like to make sure that those who come in to seek the return of health will not be vulnerable to those who have just come to check to see if they're unhealthy. So there are some protocols that have been exercised to prevent infection that may occur with somebody who is just coming in. And as such, access to the blood bank has been reorganized. That's why we want to call. And if you're going to come to the hospital campus, you will be directed a different path than you have been accustomed to, which is going through the back. And security will guide you through a secure path to give your pint. However, we know that it is right that there are some people who are afraid. It is also right that you should self-preserve. And as such, the blood bank has worked with a partner in community, the Red Cross, to have an auxiliary off-campus site to do a once per week donation center between the hours of 10 to 3 every Thursday into the foreseeable future, the second floor of the Red Cross building. That will enable people to not have to go to the hospital campus, one, and for their own safety, and also for the safety of those who have to be preoccupied with taking care of health matters. But if you have to go there, there is no problem because there is process to access that. So that is the lay of the land now. We've had the privilege to have an off-site, auxiliary site with the Red Cross. And it is working well. I must commend the police, who were very, very much attentive. In fact, we had the largest contingent of police ever in the history of our blood bank who came to give, including the commissioner and his deputy, who came to encourage, even though the commissioner may not be able to give.
Yeah, and we do, as perhaps some may know, either because they're donors, as you shared at the outset, the stringent sort of guidelines on which our blood bank operate in terms of who is eligible because of maybe where they lived or other things. Could we also may ask of you, recognizing that you're speaking sort of to the blood bank, but with your intimate knowledge of services, just before we go to the break, could we ask of you, just for clarity, do you know, and if not, perhaps help us to determine, there are many in the community who still need their blood tests, there are other things, there are other perhaps non-emergent care, as it were. Do you know if the regular sort of blood tests and the like that you would go and do ordinarily, is the labs open and operational? Can people come and do their tests? They have appointments coming up. They were asked by their physician weeks or months ago, listen, do you know if those things are happening, those blood tests in particular?
Speaking about, with the limited knowledge that I do have, I know that the phlebotomist and the laboratory, they are at work doing their normal duty of taking blood tests for patients who come in for emergency. Of course, patients who have been slotted for elective surgeries have been placed in abeyance for the time being until the COVID crisis has diminished, or in case their health scenario has become a little more alarming, they will then alert their physicians and action will be taken. So, yes, the normal phlebotomy and normal actions of the laboratory are in process, and they are doing their duty. In addition to making sure that the blood bank works, and that's in addition to embracing the tests that have been placed within their purview to be conducted to enable our country to move a little more quicker towards economic return. So our laboratory staff, I can say that they are working triple duty. They are literally working around the clock. They are literally working with less days off. And they are literally exhausted. However, they are meeting their demands and they are meeting the requirements and the standards. They will not be going beyond the point where they will be there'll be errors. They are in compliance with best practice, even though they're stressed. And I must say that our laboratory is the only JCI accredited laboratory in the Caribbean, and it has met those standards to meet that criteria because it has made every effort to do so.
All right. Well, we appreciate you helping us to not only, get the perspective there, but also what you share with the blood bank, and we'll always continue to partner. So thank you very, very, very much. All right.
Thank you very much, Radio Cayman. It's indispensable to our community, and even now, in your 40 years, you are a lifesaver. Thank you.
Blessings. All right. With that, we'll pause, and when we come back, more talk today.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Whether you need it to cool off after a workout or make a cup of coffee in the morning, your tap water is there when you need it. It's also been there to help our community prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Water Authority Cayman works hard around the clock to ensure high-quality drinking water is there when you need it. To learn about your water's journey from source to tap, visit the Water Authority's Facebook page.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Essential staff, police officers, immigration, customs, doctors, nurses, first responders, they are essential staff. So if you got to ask, then you ain't. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
Grapetree Cafe is happy to announce that they will be reopening on Thursday, May 7th for takeout only. Your delicious fish will be available for takeout from Thursday to Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Call or WhatsApp to place your order, 324-5860. That's 324-5860. The management and staff of Grapetree Cafe in Bordentown would like to encourage everyone to practice social distancing and to stay home and stay safe.
Social distancing is crucial for our community safety to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. It is open line 949-8037. And if you're able to, feel free to call us on the toll-free line with the compliments of Flow, 1-800-534-8255. You can also WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts. Again, on behalf of the National Blood Bank, certainly want you to consider becoming a blood donor, get registered, even in this time. Now, with that in mind, we were referencing earlier, the conversation that we had, and I said it was engaging, it was extensive, perhaps even some exhausting, not just because of the content and the like, but the notion that our technology sometimes makes it difficult, perhaps the oversubscription, perhaps all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, there were a number of things that were positive that we want to share, because that was the main intent of what was being shared with us. And it speaks to the fact that despite people working remotely and working from home or this or that, or even being without work, people are still engaged as best as they can, still very much busy in their minds, in their lives, some trying to position themselves for what may be the expectation down the road. If nothing else, trying to understand what is transpiring and where it would go. And from that, I would welcome greatly your perspective on where you see, not just our country, but perhaps our region, and perhaps even the global sort of landscape, moving to, as you read and watch and listen and consider. Hey, your input and your perspective is there. So I'll share with you a few things. So first and foremost, the notion that, as we've seen initially from the press briefings, and again reported in the media, that the whole issue of the port referendum, the appeal is undergoing in the Court of Appeal today, and some have questioned, well, is this really a priority by government at this time? Others have shared, but it has to be. We need to make sure that, for nothing else, we continue a semblance of normalcy, and especially during this time, we can't allow any and everything to just become sort of ignored and delayed. So what are your thoughts, in relation to the port? Now, some have shared, and I was trying to think how best to repeat what was shared with us. If we say it exactly, would it be perceived as vitriolic and political? If we try to paraphrase it, would it be sort of miscommunicated? But some have said, if as a country and as a government, had we gone ahead with the port project, whether we actually physically started construction or whether we only exchanged contracts, where would we be now? And from that, some have extrapolated that if we had started construction, would there have been any potential, negative consequences to the environment, to the sea and the harbor and the sand and the surrounding beaches and coastlines? Or would we have had a perspective that, hey, work is ongoing, not unlike the airport? So we'll talk about that as well. But let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ebanks. How are you?
Oh, the man himself whose name crossed my mind not much, but a few minutes ago. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Quincy Brown here. I just want to thank you for taking my call, first of all, and I want to talk very quickly about two things. I want to talk about the employment situation on Cayman Brac, and then I also want to just highlight the fact that this weekend, Grand Cayman is celebrating the 37th annual Cayman Carnival Batabanu, but it's going to be different. So with your permission, may I?
Go right ahead, man. Are you up and down and doing the thing too? Tell us about it, man.
Well, I'll be honest with you. We are now living in the virtual world. Everybody is using Zoom and everybody's using Facebook Live, Twitter to communicate for educational purposes and for entertainment. So that's how Batabanu will be brought to you this year. But before I get into that,
So before you put on, so is this virtual world is different from the Madonna's material world?
There are similarities, but there's a difference because we lack the human touch. Because it's one thing, Mr. Ebanks, for me to shake your hand in person or for me to send you a virtual handshake. It's not the same, is it? It's not the same. But it is what it is. All right, so I don't live on Cayman Brac. I am from Cayman Brac. I live in Grand Cayman, but I get a lot of calls from various Brackers about different issues that's going on that island, and they call me because they know I'm bold enough to call the talk show, you see. But I do so not to lambast, not to be rude, but just to let certain things be known. And there are many issues I could talk about this afternoon, but I'm only going to highlight one, and that's employment. There are persons on Cayman Brac, I'm safe to say approximately 40, who depend heavily on the road work. Now, on Grand Cayman, you only have the road work island-wide cleanup during the summer and during Christmas time. On Cayman Brac, our two stalwarts, our two political representatives have put it in place that Brackers will always have road work right through the year. 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off, right through the year. But because of COVID-19, it came to a halt. So we are wondering if we can ask the powers that be on Cayman Brac, because the money is already secured for the rest of the year, I'm told, if the road work on Cayman Brac could be resumed, seeing that here on Grand Cayman, lawn and gardening services have resumed. People are now cleaning people's yards. Yep, that's happening now in Grand Cayman. That restriction has been lifted. So Brackers who depend on the road work, they make $280 every Friday evening, and that's all they get. And because now for the past 6 weeks they've been laid off, they're hurting. They're hurting. So they're asking the powers that be if the road work on Cayman Brac can be resumed as quickly as possible, because a lot of the Brackers that depend on this are hurting at this time. So that's my first plea for the afternoon, all right? The second one, as we approach 6 minutes before the 1 o'clock hour, I'll be brief, is the 37th annual Cayman Carnival Batabanu takes place this Saturday. Many may be wondering, well, how? Because, we have the social distancing, no public gathering. How can that happen? Well, my friends, it's not going to happen the normal way. No, that's not allowed. But this is a time, Mr. Ebanks, where we all need to breathe a sigh of relief. We all need a bit of catharsis. We all need to enjoy music. Music is hope. Music is life. Music makes us feel better. And soca music has a way of doing that, especially. So on Saturday at 1 p.m., this Saturday coming, May the 9th, Cayman Carnival Batabanu will officially celebrate 37 years. And in those 37 years, Carnival in Cayman has always happened. Even the year after Hurricane Ivan, when the aftermath was so bad, people were like, oh, we just had Hurricane Ivan. But you know what? The people needed it, because it's a time where we can celebrate, take a deep breath, exhale, and enjoy all of ourselves as residents of the Cayman Islands. Now, obviously, we don't have any tourists coming in this year, but it's going to be a virtual road experience. How is this going to work? All right. If you're interested, you will contact the Batabanu office, or you will contact the chair lady, Miss Donna Myrie Stephen, and there is a Zoom link. Cayman Carnival will be on Zoom and on Facebook Live. Also, I understand Radio Cayman is a sponsor. I'm sure Radio Cayman will do her part to get the message out as well, as is Hot 104.1 FM. There's also a radio station in Jamaica that's going to be carrying the feed live, and there are many platforms that's going to be used to get this virtual experience out. So that's how it's going to be done, Mr. Ebanks. Nobody will be in costumes. No one's going to be on the West Bay 7 Mile Beach Road sashaying down the road. None of that. But what we're going to create, you see, using video, using pictures from former Batabanus, we're going to have live DJs spinning the music on air. That's right. We have our very own Caymanian DJs, DJ Frost, DJ Minnis, DJ Lynn, Sound Revolution. We have top Cayman DJs. Of course, we decided to invite a few from Trinidad and Barbados, 5-Star Akil, Marsville, and DJ Storm from Atlanta, and DJ Ange from New York City. They're all going to be together on one platform, coming to you live using Zoom. So that's the Cayman Carnival, now in its 37th year. Batabanu is truly Cayman's Carnival. Of course, there are others who have come around, new ideas.
Now, will the two carnivals be on at the same time? I know we have a break, and I don't like to disrupt you, but I was going to ask if the two carnivals going to be merged now virtually, or is it going to be separate things? Do you know?
See, that's a very good question, Mr. Ebanks, and I'm going to
respectfully.
it.
Yeah, you want to hang on? We can chat. I got to take the break because I've been ignoring Miss Susan, and I don't mean to do that publicly and disrespectfully. So let's do the break, and who knows? Stay tuned.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Join us every evening at 6:59 p.m. for the Time Check Salute in Cayman-kind style
with the blowing of the conch shell.
As the Cayman Islands community extends their appreciation to all of the frontline staff who are working to keep our islands safe and functioning during these challenging times.
This Mother's Day, more than ever, Celebrations wants to deliver a special thank you to the other unsung hero, Mom. Delight your mom with a gorgeous, fresh floral arrangement, a special gift, gourmet or fruit and flower combination, all uniquely designed for her. With every order this Mother's Day, Celebrations will be donating $5 to Feed Our Future and helping to support families. Celebrations will be doing island-wide, safe, non-contact delivery of flowers and gifts from this Thursday, May 7th until Sunday, May 10th. Call us on 623-2044 or place your order online at www.celebrationsgifts.com. Happy Mother's Day.
I love you.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only two species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access. Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
The Water Authority says it wants to support the business community during this difficult time. As business is unlikely to return to normal in the near future, particularly the hospitality industry, the authority will, upon request, discount wastewater bills for April through June for commercial wastewater customers along the West Bay Road corridor. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. A hair salon owner in Texas has been jailed for a week for staying open despite coronavirus restrictions that have shut all non-essential businesses. Shelley Luther, owner of Salon a la Mode in Dallas, appeared in court on Tuesday after defying a cease and desist letter and a restraining order. The judge said she could avoid jail if she apologized for being selfish, shut the salon, and paid a fine. And Chancellor Angela Merkel has said Germany's goal of slowing the spread of coronavirus has been achieved, so all shops can be reopened as lockdown restrictions are eased. Bundesliga football has been given the green light to resume, and schools will gradually reopen in the summer term. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. It is Open Line, and a quick reminder that we want to say a special happy birthday to Miss Shirley May Connor, especially from the 180 Brown Square crew. And on the phone we have Mr. Quincy Brown, and then another caller we'll go to after. But Quincy, apologies again, but thank you for letting us just interject so we could take the news. Because some days, Miss Susan, she said the break, and I said, oh, Quincy's talking. But you tell us about the carnivals and the merger or not. So what were you saying, my friend?
Yes, again, Mr. Sterling, just want to thank you for accommodating me this afternoon, for giving me a little time to come on to talk about Cayman's Carnival Batapanu. I really appreciate the time, sir. Mm-hmm. And for more information, I would advise that people get in touch with Mrs. Donna Myrie Stevens. She is the chairperson. I'm only here just to give it a little plug, just to talk it up, but I'm not here to step on anybody's toes or try to take anyone's job. So I encourage people to get in touch with Donna Myrie Stevens for more information, and perhaps she can answer questions that I'm not able to answer. All I can tell you is the 37th annual Cayman Carnival Batapanu is happening. It happens this Saturday, May the 9th, starting at 1 p.m., but it's the first time we're doing it virtually. So you can be at home on your computer, your iPad, your smartphone. You can tune in to Radio Cayman, or you can tune into Hot. You can tune into quite a few radio stations, and you can hear what's going on. You can see what's going on your computer screen or your laptop or your smartphone, but you're going to be doing so virtually. But we're going to try to create the experience so that you feel as if you are there. Let me leave you two links, Mr. Ebanks. You have a pen readily available, sir?
Yeah, man.
All right. So here's a radio station you can log on to. It's called Vibe345radio.com.
They should send you an ad,
Well,
yeah,
no, I respect the fact you have an advertising department. I'm not trying to break any rules.
I hear you. No, man. You'll be the first.
National Carnival, and I think all radio stations should be on board.
Is there such a thing?
But we thank Radio Cayman for being a sponsor. All right?
Yeah, man.
There's also another link, but I guess I'm running out of time. So thank you for all the time you gave me. The Zoom link will be sent out to thousands of people. So if you're on WhatsApp, if you have email, let's just make sure the Batapanu Carnival Committee has your email address and your WhatsApp. That way we can send you the Zoom link. Because without the Zoom link, you can't zoom in. So if you don't catch it on Zoom, you can catch it on Facebook Live. Thank you for your time. Happy Batapanu. Happy Cayman Carnival virtually this year. And Brackers want to get back to work. Cayman Brackers want the road work to resume. Thank you.
Thank you, man. All right, Quincy Brown in town. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
How are you today? Thanks for holding on here. How are you?
Pretty good, and you?
Oh, always thankful, trying to be.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Sterling, I'm all for beauty, but there's this condo that's going down I guess the apartments or condos are going down in front of Peanut gas station, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're putting up now their palm trees, and Sterling, that's our only main road to get in and out of up this Savannah and East End outside into Georgetown.
Mm-hmm.
And they're putting these, they're big now, and they're going to get bigger. And I don't know how come planning can give people permission to put certain trees, especially when it's going to be a hazard to the roads in the future. You follow me? I'm all for beauty, but I'm scared of danger as well. You understand? And I really truly feel like planning need to step out here with all of these new developments that's going down and make sure they're having the right size trees that's not going to interfere with our streets. You understand? It's really uncalled for to a certain extent. So I'm not here picking on anybody, but I like beauty, and I just feel like we should be careful how we put our trees down when they got to be facing our main street if we have any emergency and so forth. That these trees got to be falling in the road to help up traffic or hurt someone. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And Sterling, you know, as I move around in the island on my days that I'm allowed to roam around. When the cruise ships was coming, Sterling, I always used to say, why are these China people wearing masks when they come off the cruise ship, and why they got on gloves and they got on brow and all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And here we are now. Got to soon be a little China with all these masks that we're going to have to wear for some period of time. And some of the masks that I'm seeing on here on the street, I think they need to look into, because, to my opinion, I don't see much of a protection to a degree. But like they was talking about on the radio this morning, and I'm not here to judge anybody, but the fact of the matter is, you know, we're trying to protect each other and so forth. And talking about the fast food restaurants drive-through, the service is nasty, and they're all behind the clock up with shoulder to shoulder, and they're supposed to have a distance. They're so busy and seeing that the food is being sold that they forget that they're bumping shoulder to shoulder. Some of them ain't got no mask on. Some of them ain't got no gloves on. You know, so I don't know what's going to become of this virus. So the Cayman Island, the government is doing their best to try to protect us and keep us safe and allow the people who doesn't like the safetyness. And I don't know how much more they expect from Mr. McLaughlin when he's trying to protect us. And I take my hat off to him and the governor and all of those that's on the panel every day. They're trying to keep us up to date. And for one thing, when it comes to the news editors that are going to print in their papers, Sterling, let me tell you something. They need to go. How can they be writing an article and they're going to sit up there and asking the same question practically over and over every day? If they run Sunday to Sunday, that's what's happening. No disrespect to them. And they're always saying that people are asking them to ask this question. You are writing an article to put in the papers from the briefing. You know what I mean? I don't know how Walden and them how to do it, but they're keeping their faith and their patience and endurance, because it takes a lot of endurance to do what those guys do up there on a daily basis and to keep us safe. And I feel that we need to be more grateful for what they're trying to do for us, regardless of everybody here in Cayman touched the government at some point in time, including myself. But they're doing a tremendous good job to protect us, and I greatly appreciate it. And I got 3 grandchildren, and God knows I would want to know that you don't want them in the hospital with it, and I can't get near them or their parents, just doctors and nurses, you understand? And I've been trying to explain to my grandson, which is the oldest one, 5 years old, if he ever gets sick, we won't be able to come in to see him. He said, no, my mother can come. I said, no, baby, nobody. So you have to be very extra careful, you know, when we tell you to do certain things and wear your mask and whatever the case may be, you know. But Sterling, that's what they say, that the people in the world got to realize that there's going to be a big change. For us, this 2020 is not going to be the same. We need to start respecting each other, be more kinder to each other, and appreciate people for what they're doing, not what they can do, but who they are. We're all human, regardless where we come from and where we're going. But we need to sit down and say, you know what? That's my neighbor over there. I mean, if I do have their phone number, let me just go outside when I see I'm putting the garbage and say, hi, how you doing? Everything okay? Sterling, we live like foreigners in this island here, the majority of the people here. And when you go to the grocery store, all the yakety yak going on in the aisles, no mask on their face, no gloves on their hand, and they just backing up in you to say, but you must have a distance. But yet, when you're outside in the line to get into the grocery store, you have to have a distance. And when you go into the grocery store, everybody's back to back in each other. I don't understand that. I know the government can't come into the grocery stores and watch them. I know the cashiers can't watch them, but they have to lose their common sense. But Sterling, it all boils down to me. I know there's a lot of people here would love to see Cayman break out with a serious death toll. But I prayed, I asked my good Lord, please don't let that happen to us. Please don't let it happen. And whatever Alden M has to do to maintain, to keep this island safe as long as it is, we got to try to suck it up and eat what we can eat and drink what we can drink to be able to wake up next morning and say, we are alive.
Right. But if I may ask you then on that last point, and picking up on what Prince was sharing, he said, well, if the gardeners are out on Grand Cayman, why can't the roadworks continue on the back, especially if we're going to potentially move to, a phase in the back where less and less restrictions. So, but to your last point, if we are in the supermarkets and we're, having a conversation amongst ourselves, because that's where we see each other normally in the past, that's when we would probably spend a little time to say hello because we're so busy, right? But if we take what you shared and we're seeing a move now to open up more and more businesses, as of Monday, the garden services company, the mobile car washes, the garden companies, the nature of that job, you're working close to each other, you're in the company vehicle driving together, so you're not that far apart, you're probably not living in the same household. With the announcement just yesterday alone for the two frontline workers that were tested, and that's a wide sort of pool of people, as we classify frontline now. Any concerns that the efforts could be undermined from just, the Premier's words, releasing another 6,000 into the wild and putting, that type of work on the streets now, more and more people, that may be too soon? I mean, what are your thoughts, or should we get back to work as quickly as we can?
Oh, no, definitely not. I said we got to do this slow. And it depends on the positiveness that we get and the recovery behind the positive. I'm not saying that we must stay closed down forever, but we just got to do it slow, one day at a time, because we have nowhere to run. We may not have sufficient equipment and so forth at our hospitals and all that kind of good stuff. You understand? And we can't go out to no other country because they have a bigger problem, and that's with this virus. You understand? So nobody can help us. So I say, piece by piece, and I'm going to say this today, anyhow, what he just put on the road, gardeners and everything else on the road, and anyhow they mess up, he needs to pull them back in and put out another set of workers on the road. You understand? Chastise them, because they know that there's a virus going around. Out here, no plain ground. This is a serious situation. Some people don't take it serious, but until it knock on their door. I go sleep at night in fair. I wake up in the morning fair. So I don't want anything to disturb our positiveness that's going on and the recovery that's going on. The less positive we have, the better. And I say it's not going to it's not going to leave us overnight. We're going to have it for a while. And only God knows what happens when tourism open back up. That's going to be a serious situation on our government hand and the rest of the world and all of the taxi drivers and so forth. I don't tell myself that I'm going to be very careful.
Yeah, not to engage too much in speculation. Certainly not unfounded nor irresponsible speculation. But you have like many in your sector, and you being that affluent individual with clients across the globe. We have friends and family and customers and clients from overseas who are inquiring with us and asking questions, when is the borders open? How are things happening? Are you getting any comments from your friends, family, customers overseas about, our borders being closed to the end of the year, to 1500 years from now, to next month? I mean, any inquiries or comments from them?
Some questions, and they are concerned and praying that it doesn't get they don't have the problem. So we don't have what they're having over there. So much death and so many ones that has it. You understand? They are concerned, and they said they can't wait for it to be over so they can come back to the island. Oh, that's all good and well, but the fact of the matter is, that virus ain't going away right now, so we're going to have to be extra careful. We know we all need money. Don't get me wrong. Money pays the bills, and all the electricity is going up. The water bill is going up. The groceries is going up, and so forth to survive while you're home not having no money coming in. But the fact of the matter, I'd rather have a life and a piece of bread and some sugar water than to be gone 6 feet because of this virus, because somebody being so stupid to spread it. And wait until they got so sick that they decided then they got to go to the hospital after they gave it to 100 people throughout the Cayman Islands. You understand where I'm coming from? But I just say that Sterling, we just got to take this, leave it as it is. We keep it slow, one day at a time. And the government is doing a very good job. And all of the online, the guys that's out here, the immigration, that all come together and sharing their time and putting extra hands together. That's what we're supposed to be. That's what we was all about many years ago, but we're not that no more.
Right. Well,
we're not that no more.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and stay safe, okay?
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am. God bless. All right, with that, let's pause quickly and take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Staying home has just got a whole lot easier. Cayman Spirits has now launched a new delivery service, offering free home delivery of hand sanitizers and face masks. When COVID-19 struck Cayman, Cayman Spirits answered the call, repurposing their facilities to produce hand sanitizer during the island-wide shortage. Now that service is coming to your front door. Search for the Rum Runners in the App Store or visit rumrunners.ky to place your order of hand sanitizer and face mask. Free delivery with purchase of $50 or more. Rumrunners.ky by Cayman Spirits. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman.
It's time to stay steady in the summer and be ready for the fall. Summer 2020 classes begin on May 11th, and there has never been a more opportune time for you to invest in your future with online classes at UCCI. Do your part to keep our island safe and stay home Cayman while furthering your educational goals. Continue or start your success story today by visiting ucci.edu.ky/myucci to find out more about the enrollment process. Call 623-8224 or email info@ucci.edu.ky to learn more.
Would you like to cancel a work permit that was submitted before or during COVID-19? Are your PR fees due soon and unsure what to do? Want to know the status of a submitted work permit? Email workadministration@gov.ky today. That's worcadministration@gov.ky or visit www.workworc.ky today.
This Mother's Day, more than ever, Celebrations wants to deliver a special thank you to the other unsung hero, Mom. Delight your mom with a gorgeous, fresh floral arrangement, a special gift, gourmet or fruit and flower combination, all uniquely designed for her. With every order this Mother's Day, Celebrations will be donating $5 to Feed Our Future and helping to support families. Celebrations will be doing island-wide, safe, non-contact delivery of flowers and gifts from this Thursday, May 7th, until Sunday, May 10th. Call us on 623-2044 or place your order online at www.celebrationsgifts.com. Happy Mother's Day.
I love you.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us as we invite you to be a part of our open line segment here on Talk Today. Quick reminder, the daily press briefing at 2 p.m. is still scheduled to be on at 2 p.m. today. We're going to take it to you live, but until then, we'll have some open line. We wanted to share some of the sentiments that were expressed to us. So I want to invite you to share your thoughts. You may have, a horror story that you need help with. You may have a very happy story that you want to share to inspire others. Those that we like, but we recognize it takes all kinds to make the world go around. And as the last caller was sharing, this notion that as we're moving about, we need to continue to put health and safety first. And in light of that, I keep reflecting on not just the conversation that we had earlier, but that we've been receiving from many who are concerned with respect to a number of things, including the notion that as we open up more and more, of the economy, is it on one hand, as someone shared with us just during the break, a quick message came through. The fellow said, listening, can't call because I'm working, but hey, my take is we need to get back to work. So what are your view? I mean, is that what should be, of course, health and safety is important, but should we be focusing on it? Are there things we can do? Is it that we're being, on one hand, trying to get back to work and saying one thing, but on the other, actions potentially, creating a scenario where we could inadvertently undermine our efforts? Well, we want your perspective. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. The whole notion being that as we start to work more and more and more of us are there, there's going to be obviously and naturally a greater tendency to interact, but also whether we try to or not, just the nature of work, we will come in contact with each other. As the Honorable Premier had shared, when we get to looking at opening up the construction sites, that work in and of itself, by the nature of the work, will mean that people will be working closer and closer and closer. Not unlike, just like what we've been seeing in the last couple of days with the garden companies, the out and about, and many of us happen to get that for ourselves. There is that tendency that they're going to interact, whether they're living in the same household, they're driving in the same company vehicle. Now, one individual earlier had shared that this just shows either A, the dependence and reliance that we've come, to have on others to groom our pets, to wash our cars, to cut our yards. These are the services. Now, that in and of itself sometimes is indicative of, the wealth and prosperity that is in a society. And it is sometimes, from the traditional sort of theory of finance and economics, those things that may be the first to go when you don't have sufficient income. So when that money starts to dwindle, you don't give up your food before you give up your garden service. You pay perhaps your electric bill before you may pay other things. Now, sometimes we have the priorities realigned, but nonetheless, that's normally what we would do. Now, as the fellow will share with us, he said, listen, if you're doing that, maybe this is a time to revisit some of those values that may have, for some of us, been that thing that cemented in us a stronger work ethic, an appreciation for what we have. He said, for instance, he grew up with a very stern grandfather who, came from a different sort of era in life where he experienced financial hardship, and for him, it was important to value, to appreciate, and the mantra, was waste not, want not. And he shared he had, it wasn't an allowance or chores, but there were things that he had to do. And in time, he realized there was a element of compensation for it, not so much the money, but other things. And to this day, he says, cutting his yard, washing his car, are things he tries to do, one for the son and for the physical activity. But as he looks at it, it would not normally make sense if he makes, as an example, $500 an hour, and he could spend 2 hours at his desk and bill for $500 an hour, or he could spend 4 hours outside, washing his car, and paying someone $100, $50 to do that. It would financially be better if he, were to pay someone rather than do it himself. But that's what children are for, he says. I'll share that story with you after we go to this caller. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm very thankful and highly blessed.
Amen.
Sad and all that. I guess you heard about Mama, right?
Sorry?
You didn't hear about my Mama?
No, mom.
What you call Kiki?
Wow. No, mom. I.
Okay. Her name
yeah. Maybe I should call it after.
Hillary Beryl Ebanks, known as Kiki, or Mama, because she was everybody's Mama. I'm going to say worse because she's no longer with us, but she's no longer with us in body.
In body, yeah.
Yeah, Sterling, she passed away at 4:53 on the 23rd at my daughter and granddaughter's home, where she had been for just over 9.5 years living there, because she called it home, okay?
Our deepest condolences from all of us here.
Thanks.
Yes, mom. And
it had been honorary, and I may as well know the same day, or the same. So then, did I tell you the same day, or I can't remember? But I had to make her know. So she said, "Yeah, it was the same day, man."
She said the same day. Yeah, she's telling me that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The service was set then for the 2nd, which was last week Saturday. Sterling is a huge family, be it children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, but then grandsons, okay? There's able-bodied enough that could have done what I want to talk about now. Plus, there was a lot of cousins that could have done the same thing. Now, I wasn't up physically up and down with my daughter, granddaughter, and the youngest sister getting all the arrangements done. She was taken care of by churches, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But just in her home. Okay. And it was streaming live. For who is hearing me now and never had a chance or didn't know about it, they can still go back and watch that, right? Because Sterling, it was beautiful, very sad, but she was put away with honor.
Yes, ma'am.
With honor. So here, when I say about her cousins and stuff, they're able-bodied people that could have taken care of the vault. That was over 17 years prepared, because when my brother Mitchum passed away, the 12th of last month, now was 17 years, And that, when his vault was paid for, Mom was also paid for too. So being there all this time, now why I say like this about her able-bodied cousins and grandsons that could have taken care of doing the cleaning, doing the painting, and all of this, the unit there that is those guys take care
The
of
parks
the
and, right, yeah, cemeteries, isn't it?
parks and cemeteries and all that, right? Okay,
That's
now
right.
listen. This was the disappointing part. They only painted the top. Darling,
Yeah,
they
I
only painted the top. Because when my younger sister went and checked it out now, okay, they had plywood over it and plastic also. But it was when you're at the cemetery. And you can see where it wasn't. No, I guess it was cleaned up in the bottom because all there many years it had to be cleaned out. But about the paint, it was mainly on the inside, Sterling. That was a disappointing because I am an observer, a very keen observer, and I'm the first one that's seen that.
Yes, ma'am.
It was not painted on the inside. Okay? So I'm hoping, because there used to be a lot of complaints before about these people that cleaning, taking care of the cemeteries and all that, you know. But now I can prove it.
Yeah. Well, it's something that I'm sad that this is the circumstances under which you bring this to our attention. But I was struggling earlier with how to share what you just shared, right? In that the conversation I referred to that we had with some others who were talking about the things that are transpiring now. And that was one of the things. People have lost their loved ones. The inability to go and physically be there, just pay their last respects, to be with family now, to comfort them. But also the preparation, even when, like the example you're giving, they have prepared the vaults and we have a particular way. I can't speak for other jurisdictions. I'm not trying to compare. I just know our graves, the way we maintain them, the respect that we have for them, how the vault, as you said, inside and out, it's spick and span. There's a great respect for that process, right? And some people don't understand how and why we do it the way we do it, and why people go so often to keep the graveyards.
Sterling, it's a very painful situation. All along it was very painful, but that made it worse.
Yeah.
Because it was not painted, and she was a living, cleanly woman. If say you check the on the outside and you see what the inside of the where you live is. Yeah, Sterling, that was awful. That's why I'm bringing this up, because others have complained already. I have heard it, but I've proven it, Sterling. For a wall that's been there over 17 years. Okay, you can just do the top. As painting it. It looked like it must have been three or four coats on it, because it was even shining. But now put on it on the inside, Sterling. You understand?
I hear you, Mom.
Yeah. Anyway, and it was at the Wesleyan Church, West Bay Wesleyan, used to be Pilgrim Holiness, because that's where we all grew up. Yeah, it was there, and it was streaming live by Churchill. Okay, so whoever can still go back and watch that, look at that, and all that. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, but the only disappointment in it was the inside of what was not painted.
Yes, Mom. Well, God bless you guys, and our condolences, but our prayers, for his continued comfort and his healing hand, and
Sterling.
Yes, Mom.
Sterling. She was very strong. She was very strong, and that's why we are so strong. The same goes with all the Manderson family, the Bushes family, and all them there. Strong people, strong people, strong people. So it hurts, but then it's good. She was well taken care of. Nothing more that we could have done for her. We took care of her to the last.
Amen. Well, God bless you, and respectfully, we'll talk to you again very soon.
Thanks for everything. And for everyone that's listening, I got plenty of calls. I can't remember. Team pass on the numbers or whatever, to the rest of the family. But people know me by Eula, understand? So people is calling. Anyway, all the best. Thanks for everything, and I'm listening.
God bless. We'll pause. Join us when we return.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Attention all blood donors, we need a pint from you. Join us at the National Blood Bank this Thursday, 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. The off-campus location at the Red Cross building across from the Farmers Market. Spend 15 minutes, give your pint, and save 3 lives. Curfew day not your day? Not a problem. Visit giveblood.ky, request your letter, and it will be emailed to you. The National Blood Bank Auxiliary location at the Red Cross building, compliments of the Cayman Islands Red Cross. Community partners are Rotary Club Central, Generali Health Insurance, Car City Fosters Group, and the Cayman Blood Donors Service. Remember, when blood is needed, nothing else will do. This message is courtesy of the Rotary Club Central, supporting the National Blood Bank since 1999. Rotary, connecting the world.
Hey, what's up, my people? Jeremy Anderson here. Check this out. Something very special is about to happen for Cayman Islands. The Ebenezer SGA Church is partnering with the Salt Light City Ministries, and they're partnering with the Cayman Academy PTA to bring you all nightly motivational messages. These messages are specifically and we're targeting youth and young adults, millennials. Listen to me, y'all. Myself, Jillian Monet, we got a special word that's going to shift your life and take you to the next level in the midst of this crisis. So we need you to lock in with us and spread the word. May 3rd through 8th at 7:15 Central Standard Time. Lock in with us from your smartphone or from your computer at your home. And then May 9th at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is going to be special, and we got a special word for you that's going to show you how to take your life to the next level. So spread the word and join us May 3rd through 9th right here online, and we're going to go to the next level with you. Let's get it.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Stay home. Leave Granny alone. Darling child, I mean, we can't be visiting our old people because they're more compromised. We gotta keep them safe. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us as we go straight to our phones. It is open line. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Good, man. Dwayne, this Elvis here in the block.
Mr. Elvis, always a pleasure to hear from you, sir. How are you today, man?
But hi, I really upset. I just get through reading Loop News, I was just running through the thing, and I seen this the headlines, because it's worldwide, another drug bust. That's what the headline was, right? And I scrolled down. Police got report that a couple of 4 young people was hanging around smoking some weed. Now, the oldest one is like 29 down to 22. You got a young lady and then she 23. Everything in the 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, and this is what it said. They recovered 23 small packages. Now, I could understand if they said they recovered 23 1-pound packages or ounce packages, small. If you hear the newspaper say small, or any reporter, because they like to bump up the volume, right? Huh?
Mm-hmm,
So it must be really small. And then now, They got him charged for suspicion of consumption. That's one charge. Possession of ganja. That's two charges. Possession with the intent to supply. Now that one can send you to prison. Now you really mean to tell me of all the things that going on in this world, we really got time for our police to spend money chasing down the young Caymanian, I don't care the Caymanian who it is, young people, for smoking little weed. Dwayne, do you read the world news?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Israel's supposed to be God chosen people, that's what they say, right? Because America gave them nuclear weapons, they're the only one up, they got nuclear weapons legally, you know.
Legally.
God chosen people, they got to take care of themselves. Now, the Israeli doctors are working on a derivative, or I hope I use the right word, extract from marijuana to fight COVID-19. Now, I read this. I can't remember the headline news, but I read this because anything about the marijuana, I read up on it. And I read that, remember, what Illinois, in the month of April alone, April gone here, they sold $38.3 million worth of marijuana, legal marijuana. And here we are in the Cayman Islands. And then they caught two other people, 139 and something, for a little spliff or so. You mean our politician really, and they got to start to hang on a hidden team now, you know. You tell me something, and they can really send for, you know, 10 to 1, it was foreign police that arrested them, you know. But you know what I wanted to do? All 6 other young people that get catch with weed, register to vote. Go, if you're not registered yet, please go and register to vote. And vote these politicians out that don't, any politician that don't stand up for the decriminalization and legalization of weed for medical and recreational purposes to keep the young Caymanian, because that's 6 now with police record again, you know. 6 more that when they go get a job, oh, sorry, I can't hire you. Got caught with weed, you got to, because it said drug bust, you know. Right? Can't get a job. On a register to vote, if on the parents not register, make them register, beg them, and honor the register to vote, and vote these out. No weed, no vote. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And as you shared, you know, maybe this is, again, like many things, you know, we're not having the kind of candid discussions that we should about the impact in many ways. So let's see how it goes, right, Mr. Elvis? 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Just to call a prior, we've got one or two quick little messages sent through by some of our listeners, and it sort of speaks, I guess, reinforces bits and pieces of the conversation that I referred to at the outset, where people were sharing that during this particular time that it was, you know, for some, understandable that we're doing as a world and as a region some of the things that we're doing, but in the same vein, the notion that there is this thing that is happening and perhaps we're not cognizant of the impact. One of the things someone shared is that people have lost loved ones, and the obvious sort of distances that we have to place and the restrictions that have been imposed, you know, in terms of attendance, then everything is being done virtually. But the preparations from getting the programs, from being able to meet and console the families, but also if the vaults have to be constructed or if they've been built in preparation, because many of our elderly, you know, have made provision. They were, you know, this notion that are they being done and prepared and painted in the way that, as the caller shared, you know, up to the standard. Because if you've respect and appreciate how we are here. This is a time you see during special occasions. Mother's Day is coming up, and ordinarily, of all the other things that be transpiring, people would be at the grave sites ensuring that ever more than ever the graveyards are freshly flowered and the sand is there and the vaults are painted and all of these things are happening. And because of this, people are not able to do so. And those are concerns. But also, what about, to what extent this isolation may be affecting people? We are very, very cognizant of the mental health aspect in all of us. As a result, we see the mental health helpline that has been established, 1-800-534-MIND, for those who should call, and just to have someone to talk to. But the people who are within their homes, and that's probably increasingly why you're hearing so many people sharing that we need to be able to get out, and this sense of being in prison, it's affecting people in many ways. And I think that's a discussion I would like to broach when we return from the break and invite you to be a part of it. And the whole idea of our health care and being able to access, as we asked the caller earlier, to ensure that we understand that if you have blood work and other tests to do, that sometimes some of these things, not necessarily the blood test, but some of these things are being sort of hindered and hampered if they're not at this stage considered emergencies. So a lot of elective surgeries and other things have been postponed and are being rescheduled. So let's speak to that. I believe we have a break, and then when we come back, a caller. So stay tuned.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal, and never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up-to-date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
For nearly 20 years, King Sports Center has been the heart of the Cayman fitness and wellness community. In order to ensure the welfare of all, we are temporarily closed until further notified by the Cayman Islands government that it is safe to reopen. During these trying times, we encourage everyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle, mind, body, and soul. We look forward to continuing providing you with world-class service in the very near future. Remain strong and continue to show the world the power of Cayman unity. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
The RCIPS, National Drug Council, and Radio Cayman are reminding you to stay home, refrain from social gatherings, and having parties during soft and hard curfew. Do your part, limit alcohol consumption, or stay sober. Do not undermine your immune system and health by misusing alcohol or any other substance. Remember, we are all in this together. Stay safe, stay home, stay alive, Cayman.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Stay at home. Stay home. No gadabout. Stay your backside home. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Cayman kind.
It's time to stay steady in the summer and be ready for the fall. Summer 2020 classes begin on May 11th, and there has never been a more opportune time for you to invest in your future with online classes at UCCI. Do your part to keep our island safe and stay home Cayman while furthering your educational goals. Continue or start your success story today by visiting ucci.edu.ky/myucci to find out more about the enrollment process. Call 623-8224 or email info@ucci.edu.ky to learn more.
This Mother's Day, more than ever, Celebrations wants to deliver a special thank you to the other unsung hero, Mom. Delight your mom with a gorgeous, fresh floral arrangement, a special gift, gourmet or fruit and flower combination, all uniquely designed for her. With every order this Mother's Day, Celebrations will be donating $5 to Feed Our Future and helping to support families. Celebrations will be doing island-wide, safe, non-contact delivery of flowers and gifts from this Thursday, May 7th until Sunday, May 10th. Call us on 623-2044 or place your order online at www.celebrationsgifts.com. Happy Mother's Day.
I love you.
Grapetree Cafe is happy to announce that they will be reopening on Thursday, May 7th for takeout only. Your delicious fish will be available for takeout from Thursday to Saturday, 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Call or WhatsApp to place your order 324-5860. That's 324-5860. The management and staff of Grapetree Cafe in Bordentown would like to encourage everyone to practice social distancing and to stay home and stay safe.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And we do have a couple of calls. Let's go straight to our phones. Thank you for being a part of our discussion this afternoon. Good afternoon.
Mr. Dwayne.
Good afternoon, my friend. How are you?
All right, sir. Yes, I was listening to Mr. Elvis. I gotta agree with him, right?
Of course.
of course, because I've been through that road already. You understand? I've been through everything he's talking about.
Yeah.
One little piece of information, and then I'll talk back to what I gotta really say. The cruise ship set sail must be soon, this month. And I don't know if Mr. Arlen or whoever going to make them come here, but I'll tell you one thing. I will be in a terrible shell if they come here.
Yeah, I don't think that, the Premier did say that, we've heard some of the cruise ships, one of the more aggressive lines indicating that they're going to be put to shore for the soon, pulling out, soon, but it appears that they won't be coming here. Are you hearing otherwise, that they might be coming into our shores, even though the government is saying that the ports are closed?
No, not really. I heard that it's going somewhere to Europe. I think that's where the expedition is, or the cruise is. I didn't hear nothing about coming to the Caribbean, but I know one thing for sure is that the Caribbean islands will be one place on that course. One place, that one destination that, boy, they have to kind of try, It's so beautiful here.
It is something.
Nobody on the beaches, so.
Yeah. Oh boy, it is something else, But go right ahead, man. You talk and I'll always respond. But let me hear from you because it's more important for me to listen.
Yeah. Back to this herb thing in 1 minute, right?
Of course.
Here's a question. Ganja, so they call it. It's a controlled substance in the Cayman Islands, right?
Yeah.
It's labeled as a controlled substance, right? Yeah. So how these people that got arrested, these 3 youngsters, how they were able to access it if it's a controlled substance.
Where did they get it from, huh?
That's what I'm saying. And then, another part of it is when you hear not only people but politicians calling to justify why liquor stores are essential. Understand? That's because they don't want nobody thinking in their sober mind to make sober decisions. If you're drunk and you make a drunk decision, you're more likely to have a worse outcome. And what he said is, if they don't have the liquor stores open, they'll have a riot. Why is that? Because people will be sober and know that they're trying to pull a curtain over us. That's how I think. That's just my conclusions at the minute. And I'm not thinking that there's really something out to get us. But when somebody as greedy as Mr. Alden sees the amount of money and the amount of profits and things like that that's going on with the marijuana sector, the cannabis sector, and he don't take that, that means he getting big money from somewhere else. Or those people outside it, they getting big money from somewhere else to keep it the way.
All right. I hear you, man. Well, let's keep that discussion. I got one more call. I would like to take that. So we talk to you again.
Thank you very much.
All right. Blessings, my friend. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
And to you, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I gotta make it short as I can now because I know soon go off. Another message come to me from my daddy God for the churches and the government. Now, everybody's saying they're all is tired of being locked down, and we only locked down in the night times and Sundays. So God said me, if they're all praying for me to stop the coronavirus so they can stop this lockdown, he said, okay, if you want me to forgive you, you must forgive. And he said, must give a message to the churches and the government. So forgive everybody that's in prison for marijuana and expunge it from all the records. Give them the freedom and take clean the records so they can get a better job. And another thing, an individual person, the Honorable McKeever Bush, that he has done a lot of good for the island, and the same as a message to all those who are brought accusations against him to withdraw their accusations and free him, forgive him for what he had done at a time of stress about when he's thinking again about his daughter. Because God said, as you do unto others, you're doing to him. And if you will pray for forgiveness, you must first forgive. If you do not forgive your brothers their trespasses, neither will he forgive your trespasses. So the message is, if you don't want the lockdown to continue a longer time, then you free those who are being locked down 24/7. Now, so many will say, we can't forgive them for that, they break the law. I'm not asking whether they break the law, them or Mr. Bush, whether they did was right or wrong. I am saying under the circumstances, marijuana is not half as bad as alcohol. The Honorable McKeever has done a lot of good for this island. That is why they elect him again every election. That is why the other members voted him as premier. And that is why they put him as speaker. Because of what he has done for the island.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, just because at one time, the members of his daughter came flooding back. And I know how that feels. And all you want to do is get away by yourself and cry and ask God, why, Father?
Yes, sir. And I think as I listen to you, I think as you shared, we need to be a lot more respectful and considerate. And thank you for that, and perhaps with the compassion we can move forward. All right, with that, we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk today.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by GreenTurtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
4 people are arrested in drugs bust on Monday. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service tells Radio Cayman shortly before 2:40 that afternoon, officers were called to a report of people congregating and consuming drugs at an address off Eastern Avenue. Once there, the police spotted the group and detected the, quote, strong scent of ganja. During a search, they found 23 small packets of suspected ganja along with a ganja cigarette. As a result, all 4, a 23-year-old Bordentown woman and 3 Georgetown men between the ages of 22 and 29 were arrested on suspicion of consumption of ganja, possession of ganja, and possession of ganja with intent to supply. All 4 have been granted bail as investigations continue. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, researchers in the US and UK have identified hundreds of mutations to the virus which causes the disease COVID-19. But none has yet established what this will mean for virus spread in the population and for how effective a vaccine might be. Viruses mutate, it's what they do. But the question is, which of these mutations actually do anything to change the severity or infectiousness of the disease? And the Democrats' likely presidential candidate, Joe Biden, has demanded justice over the killing of an unarmed black man in the U.S. state of Georgia. Mr. Biden said his heart went out to the family of Ahmaud Arbery. 25-year-old Arbery was jogging in February when confronted by an ex-policeman and his son. Video purported to show the shooting emerged online on Tuesday. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by GreenTurtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up-to-date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Hello, Cayman. I'm Quincy Brown. Anybody else getting mixed up with all these new coronavirus terms? Me too. But guess what? I've watched the press conferences and I've read the press releases and I've seen all the social media posts. Look here, I can help you out. Social distancing. Well, that means you're to keep a distance of 3 to 6 feet away from the person next to you. Or in layman's term, if you can see the color of the eye next to you, you're too close. Una got it now? If Una want to stay up to the time with what's going on, there's only one place for the real information, the Cayman Islands government. Visit gov.ky/coronavirus. Now remember, keep washing your hands, keep following the rules, and keep taking care of each other. Saving lives is Caymankind.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back. Just a quick reminder that the press briefing, when it starts, will go straight. So if we cut you, our apologies up front. But let's go to our phones. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. How are you, sir?
I am blessed and thankful. How about yourself?
Not too bad. I'm just have a short little comment. My little 2 cents is I've been here from down in the 80s, and as a born Jamaican, but I grew up Cayman. And this is the second time I talk on talk show in Cayman Island. I just try to be out of the media completely. But
Well, hopefully you start more.
my little concern is I see a lot of things happening in the country here. And my heart is pain with the natural Cayman. We get a lot of pushback and a lot of hurt. But that call I was just calling just a while ago, I didn't really appreciate too much in comments we make. Because it is like, sir, if you commit a crime, you're supposed to do your time. And as what I'm going to say again, this is for me now. If I've been here from 1980 till today days, God permit me to stay here long as ever don't know. I have a clean slate with immigration, with the City Stock Cayman, and with the Police Federation squad. I have no problem through the Cayman Island right through no time at all. So my little 2 cents is, if Mr. Bush do something that is wrong, I'm not putting him down, I'm not putting down no one. But my little 2 cents is, if you do the crime, you're supposed to do the time. That's my objection. But it is like you have to give and take. But in life, not say if you hang him, choke him, or stuff like that. But people need to know when they come by a talk show, think about what you're going to think about properly before you come out and express yourself. Because as a big man like that just talked just a while ago, yes, we know he's a banker man, and Mr. Bush is a banker man, he's a banker man, I'm an expert, not trying to paper man, but we have to put the rights where the rights due. The man backs the lady, we don't know what the circumstances might be, as current over here. But at the same time, make the law do the right thing, what they're supposed to do. You don't be a friend, you call him now, and you have this big lenience. Oh, yes, we know him do a lot for the country. We're not going to say that he do a lot for the country. He do excellent job for the country. There's a lot more on him do a lot for the country too. But where my little 2 cents put into, it is like if they see where if you step down, just step down. And if you want to go to the back, your advice and say, young man, you in my seat, you're not moving the right way you should move because I have the knowledge. But, they need to take these things a little better more what they're doing. Because I listen to this talk show and I listen to Cayman, as I say, from donkey years was one till now. But sometimes I hear some of these big, intelligent and intellect people talk. To me, I don't know how I'm going to sound, but some of them is educated fool. And it's speaking.
Well, sir, thank you for making a valuable contribution to our society, and I trust that as you continue to live here and grow, you will be blessed, you'll be safe, and in this time in particular, we'll draw closer together. So blessings to you, sir.
I could tell you a little more, but I'm gonna cut it short. I tell my wife I get seven boys and one girl, and everybody big having fun. I watch them grow up, have manners to people, have manners to me, have manners to Jesus. We go to a little church, and I said to my wife, any day that God send, and he not permit me to stay here no more. Before I leave the Cayman Island, I won't give the Cayman Island ground a big fat kiss. Because what this rock does to me, I don't know if nobody else island would have do this for me, what this little island done for me. From mosquito days, sunfire days, mango days, all kind of things where we have to survive after. And I thank God for this rock here, where I see many come here and inheriting after it and curse every day. Sometimes I have to say, do you have a half a ticket where you come back? Can you come with one ticket? And it's supposed to be a half. Come out the kitchen if it at and go back home. Don't curse the people on island.
Wow. Sir, thank you for not just your graciousness, but your immense respect and example. And I hope that I can draw from that. However many generations I may have under my belt, that I be as respectful to my home as you've exhibited, sir. Thank you, sir.
No problem, sir. Have a blessed day. Yes, too.
God bless her. When you listen to people like that, we are so grateful that they tell us, to always be appreciative and do our best to make the best contribution we can for each other. All right. Hopefully we can take another call. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hey, man. That voice, when it's talking, it always sounds melodic, like it's singing, man. How are you today,
Oh, my
sir?
goodness. Well, thank you, Sterling.
Yeah, man.
I wanted to say I agree with most of the last caller's comments. I agree with most of them, and my hat's off to him.
Yes, sir.
But,
He reminds us,
Hello?
Yes, sir. You there?
No, I'm not on the speaker.
Oh, no. I'm asking if you're there. I couldn't hear you, but I can hear you now.
But no, I heard Susan say caller. She wasn't sure.
Yeah, we are losing you in and out. So, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Are you in a mountain? Can you hear me now? Yeah.
No. I wanted to call and try to defend my right of freedom of speech to speak on this radio station or any other radio station that any other citizen has a right to speak on.
Go right ahead.
And it seems to me like it's as if I have to speak a certain way and give credence to certain things in order for my commentary to be acceptable. And I don't appreciate that. I would like to reserve the right to say what I feel and not have anyone tell me that I don't have that right.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask you too, while you say that, right, as a comparison, presently, most of us are restricted, all of us on Sunday, all of us when it comes to fishing and going to the beach, and then restrictions on days depending on our last names and all of these things. So when you look at that right, and I hope that you feel, to speak freely, but when you look at that right, as you're talking about, to speak freely, and now the rights to freely move about have been restricted now, how do you feel about that? Is that something that is concerning to you going forward? Not necessarily now in the short term, but your thoughts on it.
The government has every right to restrict people's movement if there's a pandemic going around that is possible for me or you or anyone else to spread it to cause harm to anyone else.
Sir, I apologize. Please forgive me. The news conference is about to start, so more government information. Stay tuned.
Thanks to you, the public, for joining us via our social media platforms here on the channel as well as Radio Cayman. We begin with a prayer from Pastor Mitchell Eckstein.
Greetings to everyone. This is Pastor Mitchell Eckstein of the Ministry of Peace Church. First of all, let me recognize the governor, the premier, and the minister for health, everyone else that is participating, and the whole of the Cayman Islands. Let's pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, just want to praise and thank you for your great love towards us. As your word has said, you would never leave us or forsake us. And we believe and trust you, O God. Lord, I come before you today to lift up the entirety of the Cayman Islands, all of our Cayman Islands people, our government, the governor, the premier, the health minister, all the government members, our essential workers, all of those on the front line. Just want to pray for their protection, for their strength. I want to pray for wisdom and humility as we continue to battle against this coronavirus. Lord, may your hand continue to be with us and guide us through these times and bring us into a better and brighter future. And that once you have brought us out, Lord, I pray we do not forget you, but we continue to draw closer to you and develop a closer relationship. Now may it be unto us according to your great grace and love, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen and amen. God bless you all.
And thank you, Pastor Eckstein. We now welcome our panelists, His Excellency the Governor, the Honorable Premier, and the Minister of Health. Also joining us in our studio are the Chief Medical Officer, the Director of HMCI, as well as our sign language interpreter. We welcome today via Zoom the Deputy Director of the DLP Pensions area, Ms. Amy Wallenston. She's joined by the Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, as well as members of the press. We now go to Dr. John Lee.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to put out a couple of reminders. Firstly, about sporting activities. I've seen a lot of people running and cycling, which is great news. I always like to see people keeping fit, and also a lot of walkers too. So walking, any exercise you can do is great news. But please, would you keep your distance from other people? In particular, if you're exercising hard, when you're cycling or when you're running, the distances have been put out on gov.ky/coronavirus, but they should be much extended when you're doing these active sports because of the potential for any droplet spray as you pass other people or as you're working hard. The other issue is really to thank everybody who's come forward for the screening for looking for the possibility of the virus in our islands. As we know, yesterday we had 2 positives from that screening, and it's vitally important for people to come forward for the screening. It's not just for you, although it might be you, it might be your family, there may be an elderly relative in your family, you may have a friend with cancer you're trying to protect, an elderly neighbor perhaps, but please come forward for the screening because it helps to protect the whole community, and it really is appreciated, in order that we can, if anybody is found to be positive, we can isolate them and protect the whole community. That's the whole purpose of this screening. Not only is it to try and discover if the disease is there so we can make active decisions, but more importantly, to identify people and to then protect the community until their infection passes, because it will pass, and you'll be able to pass out knowing that you're likely to be much less likely to catch the disease in the future, if not for always. As far as the results are concerned today, there are 298 negative results and no positives. That comes 72 from the Doctors' Hospital and 226 from the Health Services Authority. The number negative, the count slowly climbs up, is 96% negative in Little Cayman, so that's good news for them. And of the people that have been resulted, that have got results in Cayman Brac, of the 400 that have screened, it's now 66% who are all negative, so good news. The total positives thus have unchanged at 78, number of symptomatic 8, number of asymptomatic 37, the numbers of admitted unchanged at 2, and the numbers of recovered unchanged from yesterday at 30. Thank you, Donna.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lee. We're going to go first to Wendy from CNS with any questions for you. Wendy, please go ahead.
Hi, Jonathan. Thanks very much. I was just adding up because yesterday I think we may have misunderstood the figures, and I wanted Dr. Lee to clarify them, but I think he's just done it because he's just said, am I correct, 37 non-symptomatic?
Yes, 37 asymptomatic.
So, yeah, okay, so that all adds up now.
I hope so.
Okay, thank you for that. Yesterday it didn't add up, and I couldn't work out why I'd got it so wrong. But I think it's because we had 35 as asymptomatic and not 37, so that would be why.
Sorry about that, Wendy.
No, it's
some of these are a bit. Some of these are a bit dynamic, and I adjust them as I'm sitting down there, and I might not have adjusted all of the figures running through, so I apologise.
No, I should have spotted it. You know what I mean? That it didn't add up and asked you yesterday. My main question actually is completely different. We've had some people raise the issue about whether you can clarify the number of tests that we're doing. Are you giving us the numbers that are the number of individual people giving samples, or the number of tests, which may actually mean a lot less people? Yep. And if it is that way around, can you give us the number of people?
I have been trying very hard, and we have been trying, the whole team has been trying very hard to give you the number of people being tested, because that's, I think, the number that you really want to know.
Yes.
So even, let us say I gave you 298 negative results today. I actually probably had about 340 results that were presented to me, of which there are lots of duplicates. Right. So there are people who are coming through their 14-day quarantine period, and they're being screened. So I don't report those again and again and again to you. I only report the number of people. Going forward, in our access database, which I previously mentioned, we can tell the exact circumstances. So it is possible that somebody, maybe 6 months from now, may have to re-enter that database as a new positive, because we've heard that people can sometimes become positive again. We don't think we've had anybody in that category, but we're mindful to that. But we're endeavoring to give you the number of people on the first event that they will have been screened or become positive, if that makes sense to you.
Exactly, because that's the figure that we want. So effectively, when we talk about these numbers in general, we are talking about the number of people.
Correct.
So then that's the clear thing.
But
Thank you very much.
I gave this proviso that we're trying, absolutely, because there will be some duplicates that will slip through that we won't have noticed. You know, people being done a second time for some reason, we just didn't spot it. So.
Okay. No, that's fine. That was my main question for today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Wendy. We're going to go now to April from Radio Cayman.
Hi, Dr. Lee. I just to make sure I'm clear on this, are we asking people to come forward to be tested? That's just what I gathered from what you said, and somehow I'd missed that previously. I kind of assumed that we were going to folks asking them to be tested. But do you want people to come forward who may think that there's a risk, or who are frontline workers or essential workers?
No.
And how do they do it?
No, we're calling groups up, but yeah, you quite rightly spotted there's a little bit of resistance. Not everybody wants to come forward, so I just thought it might be helpful to explain that this is, it really helps the community as a whole if people would consider coming forward. So if they've been called, I really would encourage them to come forward. It helps us to get a good understanding and also to protect the community, as I explained.
So you're not really this isn't really a call out to the general public to come forward. It's really just for those who've been called on, encouragement to do so.
No, it's not a call out to the general public. You are correct.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks, April. Now we go to Reshma from Cayman Compass. Reshma?
Thank you, Donna. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Lee.
Good afternoon.
My first question relates to the recovered cases. Now, we've had 10 cases and now we're up to 30. It's something that kind of went under the radar. Can you speak to us about that jump? Are these new cases, old cases, and how does that relate to the overall picture when it comes to how we're managing COVID-19?
Well, I mean, eventually, I hope we'll get 77 recovered cases. That's where we're aiming for. I'm sure we will get there in the end, but there's obviously a lag in the recovered after you've become positive. So we're just seeing that lag correcting itself. I've seen, as I mentioned before, I've seen a lot of the positives, sorry, not positives, but withdraw that. A lot of the negatives come through, so that it's good news for them that people, I can see this first negative and the second negative coming through. So people will move into the recovered category eventually. I also mentioned a couple of days ago that we'd taken advice on Public Health England about these people that have been in isolation for very, very long periods of time. And we've slightly adjusted the limits for when we would consider them to be not infectious anymore on advice, both in discussion with our laboratories, with the public health teams here and Public Health England.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, just to build on what Wendy addressed in terms of the categorization of these negative tests, these second negatives that are done with the recovered cases, they don't go to that total.
No, exactly.
Are they categorized separately?
Yeah. Yes, I don't report those at all, really. As somebody having a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth test, I'm not reporting those.
Okay, perfect. Now, what role does hydroxychloroquine play in the treatment of the COVID-19 patients? we've seen reports coming out that it's not as effective. Is it being used? I know it's being used here, but has it proven to be more effective here? Or what treatment options are we now exploring when it comes to the positive cases?
Well, we don't have anybody admitted to hospital for treatment currently, so we're not treating anybody. People are taking paracetamol at home for their symptoms. We've done very well in that regard, in that we have not suffered a deluge of inpatients. As far as the treatment program, I think we had a doctor's expose, so to speak, maybe 10 days ago when they discussed the treatment plans, and the treatment program for all COVID patients across the country is being managed by that group, who set out in a document what they are planning, how they're planning to treat people. And that document's a fluid document. So if, as you say, the large trials that are going on, say that hydroxychloroquine is not actually helpful, but then some biologics are, as you know, has been reported showing that they have promise, then that document will be adjusted accordingly.
Okay, great. My final question relates to returning residents. At what point will the plan shift from mandatory isolation at the government facility to allowing them to go home to isolate, or is that envisioned in your recommendations at this point in time?
I think that's more of a government-led decision than a decision for CMO. My main priority is to keep them isolated, and it depends really on the resources of the government as to how they feel they can best fulfill that. That's, again, not a static issue. That's a fluid issue, depending on how how the borders are being managed, how many people wish to come back, and so on and so forth, and the resources on the government side. But I can't give you a complete answer to that because it's not one for me, and not a decision for me to take on my own.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. That's all from me for Dr. Lee now.
Thank you.
Okay, Reshma, thank you. Thank you as well, Dr. Lee. We now move to the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Donna. Hello, everyone. I don't have a lot to report today, but I can say that we have available to join us by Zoom the Deputy Director of Pensions, Mrs. Amy Wollaston, who will be available to answer questions following the presentations by the panel. There is one area which was raised yesterday during the questioning that I want to address, having had further evidence of it made available to me, and that is the issue relating to landscapers, the mobile landscapers that move around and do people's yards and properties. There are concerns that some of the companies that are operating are packing employees into the vans in the usual way that they did before COVID-19 was an issue. This is incredibly dangerous. It is also an offense under the public health regulations. It's an offense for the employees to be that close to each other themselves, so they commit an offense. But the employee is also guilty of an offense. Not only are you likely to get ticketed or warned for prosecution if the police observe this, but I'm saying, and this is aimed principally at the companies, the landscaping companies that are operating, if we find out that that is what you are doing, we will revoke your permission to operate during the shelter-in-place provisions. We will shut down your operations. There will be no second chances. If we get a credible report that you are breaching the law by forcing your employees to operate too closely together and to be moved around in that way, we will withdraw your permission to operate during the shelter-in-place provisions. No second chances. I am asking landscapers, the companies, that are operating to be very careful about this, to think very carefully, because what you are doing, if you allow this type of operation, is you are significantly increasing the public health risk. You're risking the entire community. It is not just your workers that you're risking the families they go home to, the people they come in contact with, those that are near them when they are in the line or in the supermarket or in the banks or the money transfer services places. Understand that this is a public health risk, not just a risk to your employees or yourselves. So please, I beg the landscaping companies, think again before you load your employees all into one van, 3 and 4 jam up against each other to go to a job site. The other thing, a very important thing I want to do is I want to wish a very happy birthday to my dear friend, Mrs. Shirley Mae O'Connor of Cayman, who's 76 today. She is the mother of, among many other children, Minister O'Connor Connolly, the Minister for Education. So happy birthday, Ms. Shirley Mae.
Thank you, Premier McLaughlin. Your Excellency.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone, and let me add my own birthday wishes as well to what the Premier has just said. So good news today on the results. So I think that does give us hope, gives us confidence that this plan that we have to gradually ease up under our levels, now level 4, but moving to level 3, we hope in 10 days or so, that remains very much in a good place. I just want to make an announcement about the evacuation flights. So some good news to start with. We have now got agreement from the government of the Dominican Republic for that flight to go ahead, probably in about 10 days. More details to follow of the exact date. We know there are 50 to 55 nationals from Dominican Republic who want to go back. There is still some additional seats available if there are others. Also very pleased to confirm that there will be another flight to Miami, and that will take people out, but also bring a small number back in, and we will confirm dates on that tomorrow. We remain in discussions with Jamaica, India and Philippines, but just to underline again that this remains a challenging area globally in terms of evacuation flights. I will try to be brief today as well because we have the pension presentation shortly. So let me just conclude with two shout-outs. The first one is for our Girl Guides, Girl Guiding Cayman Islands, who are doing a Camp at Home challenge. So this will involve the girls and leaders setting up camp, dens or tents in their homes or private gardens, building a campfire, real or fake, but obviously real care needed with that, and adults need to be around. Take part in a virtual campfire group song, a sing-along, as well as complete other camp activities, learning how to tie knots, packing, making stargazers, survival skills, etc. So I think this is a really wonderful initiative to get everybody connected. So congratulations to the Girl Guides for doing that. And then secondly, a shout out to John Gray High School, who have raised $4,000 from personal donations from staff, with every member of staff donating. And this will go to support families who have children at the school on food vouchers, but also with Wi-Fi connections. So again, a huge thanks to the principal, John Gray, and all the staff for what is a wonderful initiative showing real care for our community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency. Minister of Health.
Thank you, Donna. Good afternoon, everyone. Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman, and our Caymanian diaspora. In the essence of time, to allow a healthy pension discussion, also want to wish happy birthday to Minister Juliana's mother. Happy birthday to you. Today's scripture is from Proverbs 3. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commandment in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Today, the United States is celebrating National Nurses Day. And while we don't hold our celebrations until next Tuesday, 12th of May, I want to take this opportunity to say how proud I am of the good work of Cayman's nurses. While nurses and healthcare professionals have been battling COVID-19 in hospitals across the world, here in the Cayman Islands, our nurses have to mentally prepare themselves every day for work, for the risks, the exposure to the coronavirus, in order to take care of the rest of us. We have seen countless individuals give up their time away from families and remain a source of hope as they care for patients during this pandemic in a way that has been unlike any other time in our history. The COVID-19 pandemic, which is demanding great sacrifices of frontline healthcare workers globally, has presented itself during what the World Health Organization had previously deemed as the International Year of the Nurse and the Midwife, to honor the 200th year of Florence Nightingale's birth. Many of you may know that Florence Nightingale is recognized as the founder of modern nursing. Her birth date of May 12th marks the first day of celebration of Nurses Week each year in the Cayman Islands. During the Nurses Week, you will hear more from the Health Services Authority as we thank all the dedicated nurses and midwives who are doing their part to ensure we are able to remain safe. As the famous saying goes, health is the greatest wealth, and we have certainly been reminded of that. It also reiterates that the world needs more nurses, and I pray that some of your own young, bright minds are being called to study this noble profession in the future. On a few shout-outs today, we want to offer thanks to Asian House and the Cat Boat Market, Pat's Kitchen and Barracuda's Bar and Grill in Cayman Brac for providing meals for staff at the Faith Hospital during the hard curfew days. I just have to say that it is heartwarming to see the love and appreciation that is given to our healthcare workers throughout these islands. It really makes us know that there is hope in acts of kindness, that we should be proud of the community that sets up and takes care of each other. I have faith that the stronger we will get through this, we are Cayman strong. I want to remind you that again, to continue practicing proper hand washing hygiene. Please don't forget that. We started that off almost a few months ago, but it is still relevant. And when in public places, please wear a face mask covering and stay 6 feet apart. Until we come out of this, and we will come out of this, we ask you to please limit your errands unless it is necessary. Absolute. I thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Minister of Health. We'll go now to the Deputy Director of Pensions, Mrs. Amy Wollaston. Amy, welcome.
Thank you very much, Donna. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Let me give you a brief overview of the National Pensions Amendment Law 2020. So the law contains two critical sections. One relates to the suspension of pension contributions, which is commonly referred to as a pension holiday, and the other refers to the emergency withdrawal of pension contributions. I will be discussing both today. So let me give you an overview of each. So with respect to the pensions holiday, with the law being gazetted on the 28th of April, a few weeks ago, the pensions holiday came into effect retroactively from the 1st of April. And the pensions holiday will expire on the 30th of September unless Cabinet decides to extend the period. There is a provision for that to occur. With respect to the suspension of the contributions, every employer and every employee will be participating in this process, or I should say allowed to participate in this process. There is not an application form or anything that an employer or employee need to do in order to participate. It's an automatic process. However, if an employee and an employer wish to make contributions, they can do so. They can decide amongst themselves what rate they want to make the contributions for. And if, let's say, the employee wants to contribute and the employer does not, that is acceptable. And the contributions need to be paid over to the pension plan administrator as per the legislation, and the employer would be responsible for doing so. Please note any such contributions, regardless whether they're coming from the employee or the employer, will be classified as voluntary contributions for both sides. Now, just to be clear, I know there have been a few questions about government employees and persons in the who work for statutory authorities or government companies in relation to this legislation. So let me also cover them in my explanation. With respect to the pensions holiday, they will not be participating. There is a specific provision that prevents those persons from participating in the pensions holiday. So they will still be expected to make contributions. The employer, who is the statutory authority or government company, will still be expected to make the deductions and pay the contributions over to the pension plan administrators within the time frame stipulated in legislation. Let me move now to the emergency withdrawal of pension contributions. So this provision came into effect on the 1st of May of this year, and this provision will expire on the, sorry, I just want to make sure I get my date straight before I tell people the wrong thing. This provision will expire on the 31st of October. So unless Cabinet extends it as well. Cabinet has the right to do that. So the persons who can participate are both Caymanian and non-Caymanian employees who are who are present on island, or if they have left the island, they must have left the island after the 1st of February, 2020. Now, when it comes to civil servants or public sector persons, if those persons who are working for statutory authorities or government companies, there are a few that actually contribute under the National Pensions Law, those persons would not be able to withdraw contributions paid for by a statutory authority or a government company. So if, for example, those persons have contributions in relation to their employment for, let's say, a restaurant or something, those contributions would be accessible. But any contributions paid by a government company or statutory authority would not be accessible if the person is presently a public servant. Now, with respect to the amount that you can actually withdraw, so that's actually based upon your account balance. If the account balance is is less than $10,000, then you can actually withdraw the full amount. If the amount is more than $10,000, then you can withdraw $10,000 and 25% of the remaining balance. So you can choose if you want to just take 10, that's permissible. If you want to take 10 plus 25%, that's permissible. Or in both cases, people can also decide, let's say they don't want 10, they want 4 instead of 10. They can actually say, I just want to get 4 out of my account, regardless of what the balance of the account is. Just to be clear, there's no cap on the amount other than prescribed by the formula, which I have just explained. There is no requirement to repay the sums, although the public should recognize that if you're withdrawing these funds from your pension account, the funds will not be there later in retirement. So therefore, people are highly encouraged to replace the funds if they can do so, even if that's done over time. Because if you take it out, it will not be there later because there will be nothing left for you to receive in retirement. Now, there is a formal application form, which is posted on our website. And let me take this opportunity now to express my sincere thanks to our computer services department, who has provided us with excellent support during this period. And I have about 30 minutes ago posted the updated application form, which is now available on our website and has been distributed to all of the pension plan administrators. The application form lays out the documents that are required to be accompanied with your application. It also lays out the time frame in which the administrators must provide information to you. So let me take a few moments now just to go through that now. So for the application form, you would fill it out with your name, your date of birth, that type of information, your demographic information. You then indicate about how much you wish to withdraw. As part of the process, you'll need to provide proof of identity. So that is a photo identification, which shows your signature. We are asking if the original isn't provided, which I understand under the circumstances would not necessarily be the case, then it has to be a notarized copy. There are a number of questions about why a notarized copy is necessary. That's actually done for the protection of the individual, because I'm sure no one would want someone else to claim to be you and take your funds. Then the administrator would be held responsible for that. So the requirement for the notary is indeed for the member's protection. In addition to that, if you're not presently on island, you'll be asked to provide information about your travel, from your travel leaving the island, assuming it's after the 1st of February 2020, as the law requires. There is a provision in the legislation for the payment to be made by a check or by a wire transfer. Now, under the circumstances where we're dealing with COVID and a number of the pension administrators' offices are closed, and we of course have to respect social distancing, the preference is for you to provide them with your account number information so that they can actually transfer direct deposit the sums. That way you don't have to physically pick up a check. They don't have to physically cut a check. It makes it more efficient for everyone. And it also, it's a time-saving measure as well. So all of this is laid out in the form. In addition to that, there's also a declaration you need to sign so that as a member, you understand that your application is being made. It is a one-time application that you are entitled to receive the funds. So that's just kind of an overview of the application form itself. Like I said, there is an application form posted on our website. There are also FAQs posted on our website. Now, let me just take a few moments to go through the timelines that must be complied with for the legislation on the application process. So once a member submits the application to the administrator has 7 days in which to acknowledge receipt of the application. After that happens, the administrator has 14 days in which to make a decision whether or not the application is accepted or refused. Now, for example, since the application asks for a notarized identification and you don't provide one, that would then be a reason for your application to be refused. You have not provided as a member all of the information that is required in order for the application to actually be successfully approved. Moving on, the final timeline is 45 days. So the administrators have 45 days upon receipt of the application to actually provide the member with the payment. And as I explained earlier, that's either by check or direct deposit. And the preference is for the member to provide the information. So in order to allow for the administrator to pay those sums into the member's account. In addition, let me cover a few more points that I know have been raised in the public domain. So let me take a few moments to explain a few things as well. So I know there are a few questions about whether or not a person, if they have multiple accounts, if they are allowed to withdraw from each account. The answer to that question is yes. You are allowed to make a withdrawal from each pension plan administrator. So if, for example, you have an account with Chamber and Silver Thatch, those are just 2 of them, you would be allowed to withdraw from both of them. Sorry, one second. I'm just reviewing my notes to make sure I've covered everything. Oh, let me also highlight this point. There is a
Amy, are you there?
application has been refused. There is an opportunity for you
Amy,
to...
Amy, if I could stop you for a quick second.
I'm sorry? Yes.
We weren't able to hear your audio for about 20 seconds. Can you just start from when you said you had to look through your notes, please?
Okay. Can you tell me the last thing you did hear, other than the notes part?
There was a ding noise, and then you said I have to look through my notes, and then you started talking again, but we didn't hear that bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, did you hear the part when I was explaining the days?
No.
The days, 7 days, 14 days?
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, we heard 7 days, 14 days, 45 days, and you're allowed to withdraw from both pensions if you had to. What wasn't also clear is if you're allowed to, if you could repeat, if you're allowed to take 10,000 from each pension and 25% also would be something to clarify.
Right.
Okay, well, I can repeat. That's not a problem.
I heard that. Yeah.
No problem at all. So I was explaining the days about the 7, the 14, and the 45. My understanding is if you've heard me say that, but if I need to go back to that, I can do that at a later time. But I'm happy to go over the figure because I know people are a bit confused about the figure. So what the law says is that each member is allowed to withdraw from their pension account. If you have multiple accounts, then you will be withdrawing from each of the accounts. So the formula is, if the balance of your account is 10,000 CI or less, then you would be able to withdraw 100%, the full amount. If the balance of your account is $10,000 or more, then you would be able to withdraw $10,000 plus 25% of the remaining balance. That's the formula. Now, just to be clear, if as a member you want to only withdraw $4,000, then you're free to do so. The formula just deals with the maximum amounts that you can withdraw. I hope that helps. I think the last point I was talking about, but what you didn't hear me say, was I was saying that there is a provision in the legislation to allow for an appeal to the director. So if the application is submitted to the administrator and you're notified that your application was refused, then you have the ability to appeal to the director, which would be done through our department. We have an email address, which is very widely known, but let me say it for the avoidance of doubt. It's dlp@gov.ky, and there you would provide your information via that medium. Let me also talk briefly about public education. So in addition to appearing on the press briefing today, thank you for the invitation. We have also published frequently asked questions. They are posted on our website as we speak. The second edition, actually, we've expanded them. Those were posted yesterday. In addition, the application form, as I mentioned earlier, has also been posted on our website. We are in the process of organizing a webinar with the Chamber of Commerce, which is actually scheduled for Friday. In addition to that, the ministry is working on a public education strategy or press strategy in order so we have the most opportunity to communicate with the public about the provisions of the legislation. So on that note, I think I will stop because I know I've been talking for quite a bit. And hopefully that has helped to clarify some of the points and the questions that people have had.
Amy, I have a few questions before I head to the media. The first question is, you said that the new form has been posted.
Yes.
Does that mean now that if persons who use the form before this new form was posted, that those will not be acceptable by the pension companies?
No, that's not what it means. They will accept the form that we've previously published. What we've done is there have been some points raised or some comments provided to our office in relation to some issues respect to the form. We've now resolved all of those, so we fine-tuned the form. But anyone who's already submitted on the older form or the previous version, that would still be accepted.
Okay, thank you. There's tons of questions, as you can imagine, but I do have another one before I move on to the others who I know have lots of questions as well. So let's say a person does not have a bank account. Some people are saying that because they don't have a bank account, that some of the companies are not willing to issue them checks.
No. As I tried to explain earlier, the preference is for you to give a bank account. However, if you don't have a bank account, then they will have to provide you with a check. You should contact the administrator about that, though, because realize that they're going to have to then get a check printed for you by the bank. Of course, that in itself has a time factor attached to it. Okay. So the preference is to allow for the deposit into your account. However, if you don't have account, then yes, they'll have to provide you with a check.
Okay, Amy, thank you very much for that. We're going to go to the press now. Okay. Actually, the Minister of Health has something to say.
Before you do, I just wanted to, Amy, thank you. You were very clear earlier. I just wanted to ask two questions. Well, you answered one in the multiple edits of forms, which is still good. But someone wanted to know about the explanation about mandatory contribution and voluntary contribution. What if it mattered where you took it from, and how does that affect?
Okay, so the law actually says the member's balance, which refers to the member's complete balance, for lack of a better way of putting it, both mandatory and voluntary contributions. Just so the public is aware, so as everyone knows, the law says you're required to pay, or the employer is required to pay 10% into your pension account, right? The 10% is classified as mandatory contributions. So if as an employee, which you would normally as an employee contribute 5 of that 10, if as an employee you decide I wanted to put in a little extra, maybe an extra 1% or 2%, those would be considered your voluntary contributions.
Right.
And there's actually a provision under the legislation for you to access those prior to retirement. But that's another phone call, I'm sure.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope that helps.
It really did.
Thank you.
Okay. Amy, we're going to go first to Wendy from CNS. She has some questions for you. Wendy, please go ahead.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, sorry. Apologies, Amy, if you've repeated any of this, but the sound's pretty bad. But the first question I have for you is, do you know if there's a law, or whether this is going to be random, that when the NAV calculation will be made for each of the 9 different pension companies? Well, do they all have to do it on the same date? When will that date be? Or is there no legal provision for this part?
With respect to the calculation, that occurs at the end of the month. So what happens is the NAV covers all of the contributions that they would have received from the 1st of the month to, let's say, the 31st of the month. Once all of those have been received and then they go into the calculation of the NAV and the valuing of the assets.
So where is that in relation to when people, because if we've got, because it's a 45-day delay plus the 7 days, so we're looking at 50-odd days from the moment a person puts in their application to when they actually get the money. So along that period, where will the calculation, when will the NAV be established? Is it when you first make the application or when you get your money? Because it might be quite different.
The NAV has to be calculated before you get the money.
So it's going to be when you put your app in.
So each pension plan administrator has their own investment managers and their own investment firms that they work with. And it is those entities that actually calculate the NAV.
Okay, I think I'm with you. Okay. Also, we've had a few queries, and these have come from lawyers actually, about the statement that's on the form that's on your site. I know there's now some talk about changing, I think, but I think it's a bit about the emergency. Is there any legal reason or any implications for people who sign this form and say it isn't an emergency, but just they've been given an opportunity to do it anyways. For example, it might be somebody that's in work, but they just feel that their pension isn't giving them what they want, and so they want to take the money and invest it themselves. So if they do things like that, is there any comeback? Because that wouldn't be considered an emergency. So are they telling a lie?
I'm not sure which Okay, I'm not sure which statement.
It's a bit on the top of the form where it says you've got to agree this is an emergency. You are only withdrawing these funds under an emergency, or something like that.
Okay, what
I don't have a copy of the form in front of me, sorry, and I can't download it.
Okay. No, that's fine. The new form, as I said, was computer services. We were just signed off on it about just a half an hour before we started the call, so it will certainly be there later. But to clarify your point, the intention is there's a withdrawal statement, which just makes sure that the member understands what they're doing in terms of has impact on your retirement benefit. Then there are 3 declarations towards the bottom of the first page, which ensure that you also understand that you're accessing under the emergency provisions. It's a one-time access that you're making at this time, that you're able to withdraw, and that you are presently in the Cayman Islands or you left after the 1st of February. The critical part also is that in the back where you sign is a declaration to just inform the member that if you provide false or misleading information as part of your application, then you are subject to potential prosecution because that would be libelous.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's no danger or risk to somebody if they're not actually in an emergency and they still withdraw the money?
No. The law doesn't say that you have to be unemployed or anything of that sort.
Okay, cool.
No.
The other sorry, I'm just going through a long list. Yeah, we have a lot of little specific questions that are very, specific to the individual people, like people who are saying, oh, I've just got married and my ID is different to my pension plan name and things like that. Is there a hotline number that people can call?
Let me say I can deal with that one you just asked.
All right,
if you have recently been married, okay, so what happens is as a member, I'm saying you, but I mean the member.
Right? Yeah.
Gave your name to the administrator, right? Amy Wollaston, I'll use myself. Okay. And then you got married, right? And now you have a different name. Then the administrator only has the name that you originally gave them. When you provide the application and your identification, the names need to match. If, however, they don't match because let's say you got divorced, you got remarried, whatever happened, then you need to provide the supporting documentation to that effect. Each administrator, if you check their website, has a form for you to change the name on your account. So what you would need to do is to fill that out and provide support as to why your name is different, and then the necessary notarized documents, and then you should be able to proceed.
Okay, great. Thank you. But is there a hotline just for, because we get so many questions, it'd be so much easier if we could just give them a number for them to call.
You can call our office line. Well, first of all, your first point as a member, the first point of contact really needs to be your pension plan administrator, because they are the ones who will be processing your application. There is a list of all the administrators on our website and their contact numbers.
Okay, great.
In addition to that, we have the Department of Labor and Pensions, I should say, has its own email address, which public is free to use. That's dlp@gov.ky. And then we also have our office phone, which is 945-8960. If you call the office phone, you're likely going to need to leave a voicemail, but someone will get back to you.
Okay, cool. The other questions that we've had relate really to things like the failures of the pension providers themselves to answer their phones or have answer questions or have forms available and things like that. And also the other major one that's come up time and time again is the notaries charging significant amounts of money to sign off on documents. I mean, it can cost people hundreds of dollars to get it done. I know that that's not really your purvey, but I just thought I'd raise it in case that there is something being considered about how you can help these people in these circumstances.
Okay, let me deal with the first one. With respect to the pension plan administrators, I appreciate that every member of the public is anxious to get a response on this matter. However, please appreciate that they, as the administrators, I will give you some statistics. The week of the 20th of April, as a group, they received 6,000 requests. I don't mean applications, I mean requests, communications, emails, phone calls, etc. That was that week. Last week, they got 8,200 more. So I'm just saying that I appreciate everybody's anxious to get an answer, but realize that they too have had to gear up for the legislation coming into effect, the implementation being the week after it was passed in LA. We're all in a bit of an adjustment here in order to accommodate the government's policy and the government's decision in this week. And everybody is doing their best in order to implement the legislation as quickly as possible. Just because you didn't get an answer 24 hours after you asked the question does not mean anybody is intentionally ignoring you. I'm just saying people need to have a little patience. That's all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, sorry, you did ask another question, didn't you? I'm waiting. Apologies. You asked a question about the notaries. I'm sorry.
Amy?
Sorry?
Please go ahead, and then the Premier will speak right after.
Okay, no problem. The notaries, obviously, we don't have any control over their fees at all. That's not within our purview. I can say that just from speaking to a few notaries, that the fees are more in line of $10 to $15 kind of thing. That's the kind of fee you should expect to pay. Nothing exorbitant. But at the same time, if you need a little assistance filling out your paperwork, then they may ask for a little bit more funds. But, I think the fee needs to be reasonable.
Amy, thank you for that. If we could have the Honorable Premier address that same issue, please.
Yes, thank you. The fees charged by notaries are prescribed by the law and the regulations. That is for witnessing the execution of the document. And I don't remember off the top of my head what the number is, but I think what Amy said is generally in line with what I recall. Now, if you are asking notaries who have other jobs besides being a notary to do more than that, and they say, well, I'm going to charge you so much an hour or so much for each document that I assist you to complete, that's an entirely different matter. But the fees, so that's not a notarial function of theirs. Their function under the law is to witness the execution of documents and by doing so to sign their names and affix their seals. And the fee for that particular service is prescribed by the law and the regulations. And it is not hundreds of dollars.
Thank you, Premier McLaughlin. Minister of Health?
The point I would make is that justices of the peace can also carry out the same function.
Amy?
For that.
Some persons had questions about dormant accounts.
Yes.
And how does, you have an account, it just means that you're not putting any more in it. And also has any company said to you all that they can't accept forms until June? Also, could you state the website address?
Okay, the first question was about dormant accounts. So under the pensions law, they're actually not called dormant, they're just called inactive, just for the point of clarity. And it doesn't matter whether the account is active or inactive in order for this process to occur. So even if it's an active account, you can still apply. If it's an inactive account, you can still apply. Either way is fine. With respect to June, I've had no representation from any pension plan administrator saying they're not accepting applications until June. All of the administrators are up and running. They are all working remotely. One of them has actually opened their doors already, and they're all accepting applications. We've had representation regarding responsiveness, but nothing about not accepting applications till June. That would not be acceptable under the provisions of the legislation.
Thank you. Just let some persons were still asking, because I don't think you actually said what the website was.
Oh, I'm sorry. The website is dlp.gov.ky. Obviously, www.dlp.gov.ky.
Yeah.
Right. And then the email is dlp@gov.ky.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Wendy, do you have more questions to ask Amy? If not, we'll move on to Reshma.
No, I'm very grateful. Thank you very much indeed.
Okay. Thank you, Wendy. Okay, Reshma, please go ahead.
Thank you, Donna. Good afternoon, Amy, and thank you for joining us. I have quite a few questions that have come in. First off the top, the link site for the form, you said that it's going to be active this afternoon. It's actually broken right now, some of the messages that have come in. Can you say when it will be accessible?
Well, like I said, a half an hour before I came on the press briefing, we have just the latest form. So I'm sure they're in the middle of updating it. That's why it's broken, but I will certainly follow up on it after this call.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Now, in terms of some of the complaints that have been coming in, we've heard from individuals who are now discovering that their pensions were not up to date. They have missing contributions. Have you received these reports, and can you say how many?
We haven't received any reports about that specifically. There is what the person would need to do is to file a complaint form. That form is also on our website, and then provide us with the supporting documentation, and we would investigate.
And what sort of steps can your department take when it comes to these types of situations, if it comes to you?
Well, what would happen is once we receive the information from the member with the supporting documentation, then we will actually look at the company's compliance holistically and confirm whether or not there is a pension plan established for them, as well as look at the employees or the number of employees that are actually enrolled to ensure that everyone who should be enrolled is in fact enrolled.
Okay. Now, within the legislation, there is a provision for the pension providers to refuse applications.
Yes.
Is there any specific requirements that would lead to this refusal? And what happens when application is refused? What can an employee do in a case like that?
Okay, so a refusal of an application would be because, for example, the member didn't provide all of the necessary information in order for the administrator to actually process the application. For example, the notarized ID. It would also be, for example, if it was a public servant and they were seeking to withdraw contributions paid for by a statutory authority or a government company. Those are expressly not permitted, so therefore that application would also be refused.
Okay,
what was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
So in a case, if they have been refused, like for example, just as you were stating, I got an email from someone who said they were refused by their pension provider because they didn't provide a color copy of their ID, their notarized ID versus a black and white. I mean, are these things part of the process of rejection? And what can they do if they are rejected?
Okay, so the administrator has 14 days. Sorry, too many time frames. 14 days in which to notify the member of the decision. Once the application is refused, then of course the member needs to understand why it was refused. And if the administrator is saying, I need more information, then the member is free to resubmit the application with the additional information requested.
Okay. This one is, maybe you can help me explain it a little better for the public. Once you withdraw the pensions and if you want to continue the pensions, your pension contributions would be considered voluntary. When you want to start paying back that pension, would you have to pay an interest rate, or you can still stick to the 10% contribution, or can you increase it? How will that process work?
Okay, I'm just making sure I understand the question. So you said something about paying it back. You don't have to pay back the amount being withdrawn. The emergency withdrawal provisions, it's called that in the legislation, emergency withdrawal of pension provisions. That's why I keep calling it that. You don't have to pay any of those funds back. So let me make that point clear. There's no obligation for the member to do that. Because there is currently a pensions holiday in place, you wouldn't be required to pay any contributions, mandatory contributions, until the holiday has expired. At this point, that is supposed to expire on the 30th of September. So mandatory contributions would therefore resume from the 1st of October. I think I covered everything in your question. If I missed something, let me know.
Yeah, I just want to find out if there's going to be any penalties that they have to increase the contribution if they made a withdrawal, or it's up to them to increase the pension payment so that later down the line they are not shortchanged when they hit retirement.
Okay, yes. Okay, that's the part I missed. Thank you very much. The legislation currently says that 10% is required, from the 5% from the employee, 5% from the employer. At this point in time, when the pensions holiday expires, that would be the rate that would then be resumed unless the government decides to address the contribution rate. And I will leave that to the Premier to comment on.
Not today.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, fine. It's not within my purview. Let's put it that way. It would be for the LA and the government to decide whether or not they're going to amend the contribution rate. But until that happens, then we would revert to the rate that was in effect prior to the holiday period.
Okay, but nothing precludes you from adding an additional $100 when you're paying.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. What I was saying earlier, which maybe got lost in the connections and everything, is that under the pension holiday period, you're not obligated to make any mandatory. But if you make any contributions, you're free to make those, and you can make, whatever amount as an individual you feel comfortable making. It doesn't necessarily have to be the full 5%. And then I was also saying that because you've taken the withdrawal provision, or people have taken the withdrawal provision, it would be in their best interest to start to pay in additional contributions in order to help to rebuild their retirement savings. So at the time when they actually do retire, there are some funds there to eventually withdraw.
Okay, great. It may have slipped in your answer, but just to go back to the color copy versus black and white copy, is that a reason to reject an application? Is there stipulation that it has to be color copy? Or, what's your position on that particular issue?
What the legislation says is it must be a government-issued identification. Now, the identification must be clear and legible for the administrator to see. They must be able to read your name and see the picture, etc., in order to be able to identify that it's actually you. So those are the critical parts that need to be addressed in terms of making the application. I am aware there are a few questions regarding black and white copies and color copies. Those issues are a bit of fine-tuning that we're still working on. So those matters, we'll absolutely clarify those.
Okay, great. I also got a question that came in about accessing the scheduled form for withdrawal of mortgage payments, withdrawals for mortgage payments. Can they still access this form, and what guidance can you provide for those who are seeking the mortgage payoff with forms?
I'm going to assume you're referring to the provision to withdraw $35,000 in order to pay off your mortgage. Is that what you're referring to?
You would be assuming right.
Okay. I'm just making sure before I answer you. Yes, that's still a provision that exists in the legislation. Absolutely. I believe, I'm not sure that form is on our website. I'll be honest with that one.
It's not.
But it should certainly be, the administrators all have a copy, and that process would still be the same. You would still have to get a letter from the financial institution confirming the amount that's necessary. That still has to be processed by your administrator. That process remains the same regardless of the amendments that have occurred.
Okay, awesome. I will give way for my colleagues to continue the questioning. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wendy, I have a few more, Amy, I have a few more questions before we go back to Wendy. Could you go through the process and explain what the NAV is again, so persons listening can understand what that is? And then can you talk a little bit about, for instance, we know that March numbers performance in some of the funds was really, really horrible, and April is looking, looked a lot better. But it seems that like pension companies can actually choose which month they're going to go with, and can you talk a little bit about that as well after you've clarified exactly what the NAV relates to?
Okay, an NAV. I don't want to be too technical, so let me try to do it as best as possible in layman's terms. An NAV is basically, it stands for the net asset value. What it means is when you put money into your pension account, it's actually converted to a unit, right? And the net asset value is what is used to determine the total value of your account. So that valuation actually occurs at the end of every month. This is the thing I think Wendy was asking me earlier about a similar question. That occurs at the end of every month. So that process has to occur first. And then after that, the pension plan administrators will then be able to pay out the contributions. In terms of your question about them picking which one, they're not picking which one. So when you submit your application, determines which NAV that they will be using. So if you submit your application in May, they will use the NAV for May. If you submit it in June, they will use the NAV for June. They don't pick. It's based upon when the month in which the application is actually submitted.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. Another question is, there are obviously people in our community who have no access to online access. What would you suggest persons like that do? How can they handle?
Okay, thank you. I actually, when I was speaking, I didn't cover that point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
So we will be providing copies of the form to the supermarkets as well as to the post offices. We haven't actually gotten to do it yet, but we are planning to do so.
Okay.
So that's one option to actually collect the form. In addition, the administrators, most of them are having to facilitate drop boxes in order to receive the forms once they're completed. And they will also have hard copies available outside their offices for people to pick up. So between the two mechanisms, you should be able to get a copy, and then the administrator is aware they are obligated to provide a mechanism for you to physically drop off your application.
Okay, Amy, thank you very much for that. We're going to go back to Wendy now for some more questions for you. Wendy?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate that, Donna, and thanks, Amy. It's just, it spun out from what Reshma was asking earlier. We had heard of a couple of incidences where one large hotel actually had not been paying the full contributions, and therefore when people went to look at their statements, once the government said this law, they found that there was money missing. If in those circumstances, should that happen, it's not the employee's fault, because obviously they've been paying as they pay through their salary. Will they, if that cannot be resolved in the 6-month period, because obviously you'd have to go, you do an investigation, it goes to court, blah, blah, blah. In the interim, will those employees be able to at least get access to what might be left in their pension plan, because they may have paid something before and they just stop paying or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if there is money in there, can they still get it even though their employers have not been paying it?
Yes. And the reason is it has been the policy of our office that if the issue or the problem that exists, as it does in this case, is that because the employer has been delinquent in paying their contributions, the employee should not be penalized for that. So therefore, yes, they would be able to withdraw whatever funds are in their account now.
Okay, great. The only other one is, I don't know whether this is in your bag or whether, again, this is purely for the administrators, but people are talking about the need for massively increased fees going forward as a result of this, sort of mass withdrawal. Are you aware of anything about that? Can you reassure the public that that's not necessarily going to be the case, or do you think it might happen?
what the legislation allows the administrator to charge fees, but the fees must be reasonable fees. They can't just arbitrarily decide to pick a figure. It has to be a reasonable fee. At this point in time, I'm not aware of any representation being made to our office about the increase of any fees.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Sorry, Donna, can I say something?
Yes, absolutely. Please, Amy.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know, I've just checked our website and the form is up and it is available. So I'm sorry, but whoever reported the link is broken. That's not actually correct.
Okay, thank you very, very much for that.
You're welcome.
Amy.
As I said, the form is there, as well as the FAQs, which we updated yesterday. Both of them are on the website and accessible.
Okay. Amy, I thank you very much for joining us today. Obviously, there's lots and lots of questions that we could answer, but there are lots and lots of questions for the panel as well. Hopefully, we may be able to have you back soon if there are any further questions. But for right now, we're going to end today's press briefing. And we thank everyone out there, of course, who's joined us by TV as well as social media and Radio Cayman for joining us. If you have any questions, you can go online to gov.ky/coronavirus. We'd like to thank all of you again. Please, we invite you to join us again tomorrow. For those who are watching on television, we leave you with a look at today's regional and world statistics.